Didn't stop all weekend. Kyle Schwarber, as heard on 97.3 ESPN. The Phillies Homer Dome this weekend. Kyle Schwarber, historic weekend. What a time it was to be at the ballpark in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park. What's up, everybody? The Sports Bash live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Hennings producing today's show. You out there, who was at any of the games this weekend? Saturday and Sunday at the ballpark had to be a lot of fun. Thursday night, not so fun. Thursday night, good club. That's the club that we have become used to at times. Saturday and Sunday is what we want Dave Dombrowski to graduate to. Great club. They pounded the Mets on Saturday night, and they beat the Mets again last night. The Schwarber home runs were just a party in themselves. Those balls are still partying. I mean, Kyle Schwarber, what he did this weekend, at the beginning of the year, when he signed that contract, there are some questions. Whether or not he can be the guy that finished second in the MVP voting last year. You're like, listen, is he really going to hit 58 home runs again? Yeah, he might. He might hit 58 homers again or more. He's up to 29 now. 3 RBI last night, the home run. It's his 216th home run as a Philly. It's the 9th most in franchise history. And Schwarber still has 4 more seasons and the rest of this year to go. It's the 3rd most homers by a player from any organization for home runs in his first 5 years with a team. Look, Schwarber, what he's doing right now, he's putting himself, I would imagine, back in the National League MVP situation one more time. A year ago, he finished runner-up to Shohei Ohtani. And this year, he's, been probably not discussed all that much, but you got 29 home runs before the All-Star break. And by the way, the All-Star break isn't for another 3 weeks from now. How many home runs is Schwarber going to have when you roll into the Midsummer Classic? 35? 3 weeks from now, can he hit 6 more bombs? I mean, he's hitting them in a clip, 2 in an inning. Have some fun. Name the last guy to hit 2 in an inning. You probably don't even remember the night. The guy before that was Von Hayes, who did it twice in the first inning. The most recent guy to hit 2 home runs in a game until Schwarber did it was actually Trey Turner. I don't even remember that. I remember the Hayes. I don't really remember the Turner. But man, oh man, Schwarber Saturday and Sunday, those were some fun moments. The Phillies with a 16-run differential over the last 2 games against the Mets, that is the largest over a 2-game span since 2012 against the Metropolitans. It's a team that has usually, we saw Thursday night, frustrating. Manaea shuts you down. Same old Phillies. Strikes out a lot. Can't score against a lefty. You know the story. And then Saturday night, bam. And then Sunday night. The Sunday night game I thought was impressive because you're facing a lefty who you've struggled with. You struggle against lefties. And you're playing the Mets, a team that has seemingly had the upper hand on you when they're good, they're bad. Playoffs, no matter what. Bryce Harper, 3 for 4 last night, home run. We'll get into what he did on Saturday night with the cycle. Schwarber and Harper become the first Phillies teammates since at least 1900 to have at least 16 or more total bases in the same 2-game span. These guys wreaked havoc this weekend. The problem is, you need them to wreak havoc in October, not so much in June. So let's not turn our nose up at the June performance that they gave us on Sunday and on Saturday. But let's put into perspective. The Thursday game against the Mets still sticks in my mind. The Saturday game, that was a lot of fun. You become the second team in Major League Baseball history to hit for the cycle and have 3 home runs from one player in the same game. It only happened one other time. One other time. 1932 is the last time that has ever happened, and you got to see it on Saturday night. Bryce Harper becomes only the 11th Philly ever to hit for the cycle, and his first cycle ever. Now, we can debate whether or not he legitimately hit a triple, and if the shortstop had half a noggin, he gets the relay throw and throws it to third with 2 outs. You get the final out of the inning at third base. He's probably gunned down right there by about 20 feet. But we're talking about the Mets here. Probably one of the most managed teams in all of baseball from top to bottom. Man, the Mets are just a joke. You're down in the game at the time when Harper hits the triple. What's the score? 13-2? And the jackass shortstop is trying to cut the run off at the plate like that was going to save the game? Hey, buddy, the guy's crossing your face. He was barely rounding second base. You didn't say, hey, let me just get out of this inning, whether they score or not. What's the difference? And get the out at third, because Harper's base running there is overly aggressive. You could debate whether the official scorer should have even given him a triple. But at that pace right there, if you're the Mets, just get out of the inning. Hey, dum-dum, they're giving you an out with poor base running. Harper's the 6th player in the last 50 years to hit for the cycle in the 5th inning or earlier of a game. That's how bad this thing got. He was up 4 times by the 5th inning, and he had already homered, doubled, and singled. Oh, my God. Poor Mets. It's crazy what you saw this weekend, that this was what the Phillies can be. You got Schwarber with his 5th career 3-homer game. You've got Schwarber with 29 homers before July 1st. It's the most ever in Philadelphia Phillies history for someone to have 29 homers this by July 1st. And by the way, we're still at June 22nd. There's more homering to happen here. Schwarber becomes the 4th Philly in history with multiple 2-home-run games in an inning. He's also the first player with multiple 450-foot homers. He had 900 feet of home runs in the same inning the other night. He ended up with 1,250 feet of homers. I mean, jeez. And the Phillies scored 15, which was fun, because Phillies lineup, Chachi's 13th floor. We had people texting in on Saturday night that stop right there, even though the 13-run thing doesn't come into effect on the weekends. It was just fun to see that people were playing along because the Phillies were at 13 runs at one point. Oh, man. As for Freddie Peralta, Peralta's not a dog. He doesn't, stink. You chased him for 10 runs, 10 hits in 2 2/3. Now, he's on my fantasy team, so that didn't help me. Most earned runs allowed in any start of his career for Freddie Peralta. It was just a party at Citizens Bank Park. But I don't want to be the party pooper, but do we really believe what we saw this weekend was the real Phillies? In the immortal words of Eminem, will the real Phillies please stand up? I don't know that that was them. They are certainly a very good impersonator from time to time, but I don't know how much I'm supposed to take from this weekend, or specifically those 2 games, and say, yeah, that's the Phillies that I know and love. We all know that they can break out the bats at any point and have a big, big-time game. And last night, look, they only scored, I say only, for them, 6 runs in the game is actually pretty solid. If the Phillies score 6, they're probably going to win, especially when you've got Wheeler and you've got Sanchez pitching the way that they did. I love last night's game because there's a moment in the game where Mattingly goes to the mound, and he's probably says, okay, we got to get him out of the game here. It's time to get Wheeler out. He's at the 100. I think he was right around 100 when he went to the mound. And he says, I got one more left in me. Okay. And Wheeler stays in the game. He gets out of the inning, and the Phillies go to the bullpen. Jonathan Bolin finishes the inning up for Wheeler. Alvarado's the best he's looked in a little while. Kerkering has been outstanding. And then you didn't really need Duran to save that out last night. But, my gosh, his ball is moving like a freaking boomerang up there. I think you're watching a Phillies bullpen kind of reevaluate itself right here. Jonathan Bolin, remember, he was a guy that you got in a trade for Matt Strahm. And the day they made that trade was like a pretty insignificant feeling of a trade. You had Matt Strahm, who had been an all-star. An all-star left-handed bullpen arm that, it seemed like there was a premium on them in the offseason. And you just trade him away for a guy that really no one had heard of. Jonathan Bolin had not been a guy who had a real, resume at the big league level. He had pitched in Kansas City and had been okay. Last year was really the only year that he has ever pitched at the big league level of any significance, 34 games. And he wasn't like, wow, eye-popping. But I will say we give a lot of grief, if you will, to Dave Dombrowski. But this Jonathan Bolin may be a guy that's moving up the chain, up the ladder. He might be your version of Jeff Hoffman from a couple of years ago that you just kind of discovered and found and gave a shot. And, Hoffman that 1 year, I guess it was 2023, was the first year. They kept kind of using him in the sixth inning, and like they weren't moving him into higher pressure situations until like the season kept going on and on. And finally, like it was like the next year is when Hoffman got into some higher leverage situations in 2024. And of course, against the Mets in that series, that didn't go so well. But I feel like Bolin is moving his way up the ladder in the bullpen. And I think Kerkering, I know Kerkering, the vision we have of Kerkering is of the guy who threw the ball over the catcher's head to kind of end that series against the Dodgers. But I got to tell you, Kerkering's been really good. He's been pretty good. And they threw him in the eighth inning last night. And I'm wondering, with Keller out, are they going to stick with Kerkering as that eighth inning guy when Keller comes back and kind of ease him and try to get him back? Because if Kerkering can hold down that eighth, maybe Keller pitches in some lower leverage situations when he comes back, and then that kind of grooms him to kind of work his way back. And then you got Bolin and Kerkering and Duran. The next guy they really got to work on is Alvarado. Now, the Phillies did make a series of moves yesterday, and one of them was Bryce Wilson was DFA'd. And then the team has not announced a starting pitcher today as of yet. I have not seen one anyway. I could be wrong about that. That might be something. I think Alan Rangel will be the guy who ends up getting the call for the Phillies. But they also recalled, I should say, who's the lefty pitcher? What was it? Oh, Backus. Backus got recalled, is back. So he might be an interesting left-hander that if he can kind of give them something from the left side. So they DFA Bryce Wilson. They optioned Max Lazar. Backus will be back and active today. They have not announced it yet, but I think Rangel will be the starter. But I'm more interested in the Backus part of this, because could he be the left-hander that ultimately – you need a higher leverage lefty. If Alvarado can't get back on track here, you got Tim Meza. Could Backus be a guy that moves himself up the chain of high leverage? Because right now I don't know that I'm buying Alvarado. But, man, it was a fun weekend at Citizens Bank Park. It was definitely the Thursday night, the last thing you needed was a crappy Mets team to come in here after you had lost to the Knicks. And this isn't comparable, obviously. And then the Knicks win the title. The last thing you need is the Knicks, the Mets coming in here and taking 2 out of 3 or beating you. And here's the thing. The Phillies are now 6.5 games out of first place. I guess there was about 2 weeks ago where you were like 9 back. You just couldn't make up any ground. And it almost felt like it was inevitable that, like, you're playing for a wild card. You're 6.5 back. You're back in the division race, which I can't believe we're really talking about. With that start and where you were, the Mets and Phillies were both 9-19. Look where they both are now. The Phillies are 42-35. The Mets are 34-43. They've been a disaster. The Mets have been a disaster. And the Phillies have not only saved their season, they have a chance. Look, they play Washington here, and Washington's exceeded expectations because their offense is the best offense in baseball. They've scored 416 runs, Washington. And they're not going to see Wheeler, and they're not going to see they might get Sanchez at the end. This is a 4-game series, right? Yeah. If it's a 4-game series, they'll probably see Sanchez at the back end of it here. Yeah, they'll see Sanchez on Thursday. But you don't even know tonight, probably Alan Rangel, Luzardo tomorrow, Nola on Wednesday, and you get Sanchez on Thursday. It's an interesting series here. The Phillies can win this series, take 3 out of 4. Depending on what happens with the Braves, who have just been falling apart because their pitching is a mess right now. Braves pitching is a disaster right this second. It would be interesting. Let me set an over-under for you. Josh, I'm going to say, let's take a look at these schedules real fast up to the All-Star break. The Braves between now and the All-Star break, they're on a West Coast trip at San Diego, at San Francisco. Then they come home for St. Louis, the Mets, at Pittsburgh, at St. Louis. Interesting stretch there. I mean, San Diego's offense isn't great. San Francisco's not very good. St. Louis has exceeded some expectations. The Mets are awful. Pittsburgh depends on who you get stuck facing generally. And then you got St. Louis again. Probably, it's a run of games that's not like overly. I mean, St. Louis is the best team in that mix there. The Padres are decent. I mean, the Padres since that series with the Phillies, they're almost 500 now. They just absolutely fallen apart. Pittsburgh's about a 500 team. So the schedule for the Braves is not overly difficult, but the Phillies just keep coming after them. The Phillies play Washington here for 4. Then they play the Mets again. They play the Pirates for 4, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Detroit. I mean, realistically, I think the Phillies, by the All-Star break, it's 6.5 now. I'm going to give you 4.5 by the All-Star break. Can the Phillies be 4.5 back by the All-Star break? How do you feel about that number?
I mean, I think it's a nice goal to have. I don't know if it's going to happen just because you just mentioned the Braves schedule. That's a pretty straightforward, winnable schedule for the Braves. So I feel like the Braves and the Phillies, they could both just be winning themselves to the deadline at the All-Star break.
Braves have lost, by the way, 7 of 10.
Right, but now they have a schedule where they can get right.
You would think so. They got swept by the Giants. Not a good team. They got swept by the White Sox. That's what they've done in this little break here. Now, they just won 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. Right. So maybe they're turning things around.
And they had that big walk-off win with Albies. You heard it here on 97.3 ESPN on Saturday. So, maybe that jumpstarts them.
I would just wonder if they're pitching right now. Their pitching is a mess.
Yeah. It's why a lot of people are speculating that they could be the team that lands.
Yeah, that's one thing because, obviously, 2 of their top pitchers right now are Strider. Yeah. Strider, and he hasn't been himself since he's been back.
Yeah, Strider just can't stay healthy at this point.
No, he can't. So I wouldn't put a lot of faith that Strider helps me out all that much the rest of this season here if I'm the Braves. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I can't believe on June 22nd when they were 9-19, here we are on June 22nd, and we're talking about the potential of the NL East kind of now being back in play. But hey, this weekend, if anything, it was fun for the weekend. That's what we can all agree on. Ray in EHA says, I'll be the party pooper. Come on, Ray. Father's Day, fun weekend, but he'll be the party pooper. Here's what he says. So they showed us what they could be at some point in time, but there's no consistency. They play like that against the Mets, and then we're going to lose 3 straight to the Nationals. It's just baseball, ebbs and flows, and the Phillies seem to have a lot of ebbs this year. Well, they've actually had a lot more flows this year recently. The Phillies, since the managerial change, are the best team in baseball record-wise.
Record-wise, yeah. I think they've won, 9 of their last 12 series?
The team's been on a heater. And listen, I know on this show we have kind of said, look, the managerial change, I don't even know, do you give all the credit to Matt Mattingly and say, look, that managerial change was the only thing they needed? Not necessarily, but I think you got to give him a ton of credit for this team getting past the Thompson thing. I think the Thompson thing ran its course. I said I would have fired him in the offseason. And that doesn't mean Rob Thompson was awful. He stunk. He was terrible. I do think the team needed some sort of change, a different voice, a different philosophy, a different something. And I think that's where this change to Mattingly, you have to give him credit for that. And you look at the Mets, they had an opportunity to bleep or get off the pot. They stayed on the pot. And you know what? Now they got tired legs. They got legs asleep on the pot because they could have moved the manager. They decided not to.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say that the biggest thing to me with the Mets is that the team has spent a ton of money. They made a lot of moves. Pretty much none of them have worked out at all. I mean, look at Bo Bichette. I mean, you could argue that Phillies lucked out that we didn't get Bo Bichette.
yeah, you don't know what he would have done here, obviously. In New York, he's starting to come around a little bit for them. He got off to a terrible start. But for them right now, sadly, 8 home runs, 248, 292 on base percentage. Uh, I don't know that he would have been better or worse here, but he has not worked out the way that you would hope to if he came here. Can you imagine if those were his numbers had he been here?
Oh, people would be rioting.
Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. Hey, don't forget to join us this Friday. Sports Bash is live at the all-new Jersey Cow in Margate. We'll be there for their grand opening special. They open this weekend, a little soft opening. But to make it grand, they're bringing the Sports Bash there on Friday, 7903 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. And guess what? We're going to have tickets to see Matt Rife. Yeah, that's right. At Ocean Casino Resort, the comedy event of the summer, we'll have tickets for that event. You stop out, you have a shot to win tickets to see Matt Rife at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Jersey Cow this Friday. Come on out and get the area's best ice cream. That's right. We'll be there this Friday in Margate. When we come back, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. They beat the Mets. Does that mean anything? That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. 231 Sports Bash Wheeler last night. Ace-like, but I will say he said he got a little tired late in the game. That was in the 6th inning. Can I get a Wheeler into the 7th or 8th for the playoffs? That's what I'm going to need. Phillies beat the Mets. It was a party. Felt like Shakedown Street, baby. Citizens Bank Park. Used to be the heart of town. Bombs all over the place, home runs, you name it. It was that kind of weekend at Citizens Bank Park. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board this hour of the show here on the Sports Batch. It's brought to you by the law offices of Craig A. Altman, proud sponsors of sports coverage of Philadelphia teams in South Jersey. I think one of the interesting things about this weekend was the fact that you had your two aces going, and they both got a lot of run support. Normally that's one of the things. You get those two going, and you got a game where you have your ace going. You get all those runs like that. You almost feel like it's a wasted effort. Like, I didn't need you to score 15 runs when I had Christopher Sanchez on the mound. So those guys definitely didn't have the high stakes pressure on them. But I know it was the Mets who have been struggling along right here. But I don't know, Mike. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City is back. Is this, hey, it's the beginning of the summer and the ball's starting to jump and this Phillies offense is starting to come around? Or is it just the Mets?
I think it's the Phillies and a little bit of the Mets at the same time. I mean, it sure was fun for Phillies fans out at Citizens Bank Park on Saturday night and Sunday. The weather warmed up. The crowd was electric, and when Schwarber and Harper hit like that, the Phillies are tough to beat, and Citizens Bank Park is a great place to be. So to me, and the way I look at it now, Mike, I continually use the phrase cautiously optimistic and cautiously concerned. I think the Phillies are in position here to make a run. I mean, 6.5 games behind the Braves. It was 10.5 a month ago.
I was going to say, the 6.5 back, you got 3 weeks to the All-Star break. Do you think they it's inconceivable to think that they could close this gap by the All-Star break, but what are you thinking by the time we get to the Midsummer Classic?
Hey, I think, Mike, if you get this to, obviously you're not going to make up 6.5 games in a week, but if you get this to 4.5 or 4 games by the All-Star break, and then by the middle of August, you're 3.5, 2.5 games, maybe 2 games out, then I think you got a shot. And I think, teams that we thought were going to be dominating, the Cubs, the Padres have kind of fallen off. The Braves have come back to earth. So for the Phillies, for all their problems and all their shortcomings, which we document on a daily basis here, when you look around the National League and you look at the quality of teams, I mean, they're kind of right. They're not the Dodgers, and maybe they're not the Brewers, but they're pretty close.
They're right there. Yeah, the Braves took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, by the way, this weekend. Brewers could have helped the Phillies out if they swept that series. There was the game on Saturday with the walk-off win for Atlanta. I tell you what, I can't believe that we're talking about a possibility that they can get to the All-Star break. And that's the number I said, Mike, 4.5. If they can cut 2 more games into this, I definitely think the back end, the second half of the season, sets up for a wild ride to the finish line here because I don't know, you would imagine, and see if you agree or not, the Phillies offense, as bad as it's been, should come around. I don't know if you can expect what you saw Saturday night and last night with all the home runs from Schwarber and obviously the weekend from Harper, but much more up and down the lineup should start producing more. You even saw Turner. He was on base, 5 times between the 2 games, and I think he scored all 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, Turner showed signs of coming to life. Alec Bohm since May 9th. I mean, he's third on the team in RBIs. Who would have said that at the end of April, that Alec Bohm would be third on the team in RBIs? And until this explosion by Harper this weekend, he actually entered the weekend with more RBIs than Bryce Harper. So who would have guessed that in April? Mike, they still have their issues. They still have a black hole in right field. They can't find somebody to hit right field no matter what they do, no matter who they put out there. The center fielder is a rookie. He has some good games. He has some bad games. You like to think that Brandon Marsh is going to carry it through the entire season, but maybe he'll course correct a little bit. At the same time, you think Trey Turner will course correct in a positive version. So, yeah, I think the lesson from this weekend, Mike, and obviously you said nobody expects Schwarber to hit 3 home runs every night. Maybe. I don't know. I'm amazed by what that guy has done and what he continues to do and how he continues to get better as he gets older. I mean, people talk about, 500 home runs in his future. He keeps playing like this. He might have an outside shot at 600 the way he's going. And Harper's not going to hit the way he hit. But I think when they get to October, and I think they'll be in October, we can debate Bohm, we can debate the right fielder, but those two guys have to produce. This is a team built on stars, and those stars, Schwarber and Harper, got to hit in October. And if they do that, they can beat anybody. If they don't, we might have another disappointing October ahead of us.
So as you watch this weekend, that right-handed bat. We need that right-handed bat. At this point, is it any bat? I mean, because you look at the right field situation, could it be a left-handed bat to replace Rincones? Because I think we all realize, he's just not ready to step into this mix. So do you just get any bat at this stage?
Yeah, I think you can't be picky, right? I know ideally if you're checking that checklist and you're making out your wish list, you're going to go with a right-handed at bat. But at this point, just get me somebody in there who can hit. I mean, what did Garcia go 3 for 57 in May? Get me somebody who can go 4 for 57. Just anybody. And it seems like Rincones is following the Otto Camp Felix Reyes script, where these guys come up. They look impressive. Reyes hits a home run in his first at bat. Rincones' first major league hit is a home run. We all say, oh, maybe this is the guy. Maybe this is the guy who's going to turn around the right field situation. And then 10 days later, that guy hasn't gotten another hit again, or even seemingly hit a ball hard. So, yeah, at this point, just get me somebody in right field with a pulse that can put the ball in play. I'm not asking for much. And I don't care who it is, lefty, righty. I think you can maneuver around it. Just get a guy out there who can hit. I don't think you can be, quibble or picky about who it is at this point.
No, and we were talking the other day, if you could upgrade any position. I don't know. I mean, first base is obviously not changing. Shortstop's not changing. I would imagine obviously the DH isn't changing. But, I mean, the catcher, you're not going to upgrade. You're not going to change Realmuto. You're paying him, so you're not doing anything there. The Marsh thing is interesting, Mike. I want to kind of get your thoughts on the Marsh thing. He did face lefties this weekend. I think he struck out 3 times against Minaya. I know he struck out against Peterson last night. Do you look to find someone to attach with him, or are you okay letting him face lefties in the playoffs?
I'm okay letting him hit right now. I think you've got to go kind of all in with him, and he did not have success against lefties this weekend. He has had some limited success against them this season. He doesn't look as overmatched against them as he has done in the past. And I think, Mike, that he has earned the right to be out there every day. I think when you talk about the positions that they can tinker with, there's only so much you can do. And obviously the 2 spots are center field and right field. I don't know if you want to throw left field into that mix also. So to me, you've got a good thing going with Marsh there. You're not going to fix all 3 outfield spots. That's asking too much. It's probably asking too much to fix 2 of the 3 outfield spots. I'll just settle for the right fielder now, and I'll live with Brandon Marsh. I think the stuff he gives you against right-handers and his ability to hit right-handers and what he means to the team, and let's reward him for the success he's had this season. Let's believe in him a little bit. I think he's earned that with the way he's played the first half of this season. So I have no problems sticking with Brandon Marsh. I think he deserves it, and B, realistically, like I said, you're not going to tinker with all 3 outfielder positions.
I agree, and I see
spots that they can be improved.
I see that point as well. I just looked at his lefty numbers. All of a sudden, I mean, his average is at 250, which isn't horrendous. 288 on base, 368 slugs, 655 OPS, 25 strikeouts in 68 at bats. You're starting to see the lefties are starting to catch up to him a little bit here. His batting average overall, he was at 340. He's at 310 now. Still having a good year. By the way, the latest National League All-Star starting votes have just come out. He is leading the way, or is number 3 in the outfield. So if the All-Star game was to be tomorrow, he would be the starting left fielder. So he has had a tremendous year. And you just wonder if you're counting on him against a lefty, Chris Sale, Minaya in the playoffs, that you've struggled. And Minaya is not even like a tough lefty. you see this is a guy you're counting on for a lot of production. And if you simply throw a lefty against him, I wonder what that means for this Phillies team come playoffs, which means they probably just continue to need to add to improve their bench as well.
Well, you just hit it, and I was just about to bring that up, Mike. Right now, they don't have, and again, we go back to that right-handed at bat that I just said, I don't care if it's a right-handed or a left-handed, but they need to improve their bench a little bit. They have two catchers on the bench right now. I know Stubbs can play left field. He can play third base. He can pitch when it's, when they're down 12-1 or something like that. But, Marchand and Stubbs, to me, another one of their needs that I think, Mike, is they got to get a guy on that bench, again, righty or lefty, who could come off that bench in a playoff game and do what Matt Stairs did. Hit a home run, change the game with one swing. Right now, they don't have a guy on that bench who's capable of doing that. So I think that's another thing that they've got to sort of check. Check right field, add to the bench, and a lefty reliever. That's another thing that I think they need to look at as we 6 weeks from the trade deadline, basically.
I agree with that as well. But by the way, Kerkering, are you keeping him in this spot? Or are you going back to Keller when Keller comes back if Kerkering continues to throw the way he is?
Yeah, Mike, I've got to give Keller a chance to reclaim that eighth inning spot when he comes back, when he's healthy. First of all, you signed the guy for that job, right? You signed him to be the eighth inning guy. I know he didn't put up the numbers that they thought he was going to put up in the first 3 months of the season. Now, part of that is obviously we all watch a lot of Phillies games. In my opinion, Keller pitched in a little bit of tough luck earlier in the season. He had innings where, he gave up blue hits, or with 2 outs, he would give up a single and then a home run. Obviously not what you want from a reliever, but I'm going to give Keller another chance because I think the bullpen, when it's at its best, is Duran in the ninth, Keller in the eighth, and Kerkering and some lefty taking down that seventh inning type of situation. So that's what I want to try to set up there. So I'm going to give Keller every chance to try to reclaim that eighth inning spot, because that's also going to tell you, maybe what you need to do at the deadline. If he can't come back and get that eighth inning spot, maybe you got to make more than one move to sort of fortify that bullpen. So I'm going to give Keller every opportunity to reclaim that eighth inning role when he's healthy.
All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Phillies beat the Mets on Saturday and Sunday. They lost on Thursday night. We'll head into a 4-game set now against the offensive explosion that is the Washington Nationals. We'll talk more about that series when Mike is back on Wednesday's show. We'll be taking a look back at the NBA draft, which is tomorrow night as well. Mike, we'll talk to you then, man.
All right, Mike, and this time I'll get it right. We will see you down the road.
Take care. McGarry's sign-off on Friday was, I'll see you on Monday, instead of I'll see you down the road. Good pickup by that guy there, Josh. He was listening. He was paying attention. He texted in and said, hey, McGarry didn't say I'll see you down the road.
It was pretty funny. That was I saw that text too on Friday. That was a funny moment. But someone's like, wait a minute.
Janer at EHC chimes in on the text board of the White Horse RV text board. Roller coaster Phillies team. Only way to describe this. You have a better one than roller coaster team. Kyle's a monster box. I hope the folks are voting. Got Kyle and Marshy. Would love to have 5 total Phils in the All-Star game. Schwarber, Harper, Marsh, Sanchez, Ron. There's your 5, Janer. And maybe even Wheels.
Yeah, I think Wheeler's is definitely making a case that he needs to be in that conversation as well. I think if you're a Phillies fan, it would be absolutely amazing if you start the game with Sanchez, and then right of the bullpen comes Wheeler right behind him. 1-2.
Duran closes it out.
Right. You know who should be a setup man in that situation? Miz.
That guy's ridiculous. Miz. All right, coming up on the other side, I got dates that you're going to want to jot down concerning the Eagles. Oh, yeah. I got dates. Stick around. That's next. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. 2:52. I got dates. I'll tell you them in just a second. This hour of the show is brought to you by the law offices of Craig A. Altman.
Listen, if you don't want a date that puts you in debt, you need to call law offices of Craig A. Altman, because if you get into a car accident, slip and fall, workplace injury, you need to have the tough lawyer to handle the tough cases. And the insurance companies, they have zero interest, zero, in helping you out. No, they just gonna find a way to deny, not give you money that you deserve. No, CraigAltmanLaw.com. That's where you go for your free consultation right now. CraigAltmanLaw.com. They are located right here in South Jersey. Let them help you with your injury situation. Car accident, workplace injury. It's the law offices of Craig A. Altman. Again, CraigAltmanLaw.com, where you go for your free consultation.
All right. The Eagles will open training camp July 28th. That is the start of Eagles training camp. That is the first day that they will report, Tuesday, July 28th. So we are just about a month and a few days away from the start of Eagles training camp. And what's the date they're going to play the New England Patriots in a preseason game? I believe that one will be on August the 22nd, and they will be doing a inter-squad practice with the Patriots. That has been announced for what day?
August 19th and 20th.
So those are the two A.J. Brown reunion days.
Yeah, get excited.
Get excited for that. So a couple Eagles dates there. And the Jason Kelsey Team 62 event is coming up on Wednesday. That is this Wednesday at the Ocean Drive. So a lot of Eagles opportunities for people out there. Kelsey in town as usual. I was out at Sea Isle this weekend. It was packed down there. That's your weekend, the Skimmer Festival.
Yeah, I used to be there often, but I'm being sent other places now. So.
Skimmer weekend was a success, massive success. It was mobbed in Sea Isle. Had my first Lou dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, grabbed a little Lou dog for the first time.
I like that.
The hype was worth it. Went in, they had the dog of the day. I said, I'll take the dog of the day, please.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, it was a fun day down there.
You were in full Sea Isle then on Saturday.
I was a Sea Islesman on Saturday. I was there for Skimmer weekend. All right, coming up next hour, Phillies Fastball. And are the Eagles still ready to make a big splash? A name that has gone nuclear. We'll discuss coming up. All right, 3 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. It's time for today's Phillies Fastball, brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go to watch all the Phillies game, including tonight when they take on the Nationals. They'll take on the Nationals here for a 4-game series against the high-powered Nationals offense. Who knew that they had such a good offense? They're down there at Nats Park. From what I understand, we can ask our buddy Oscar Budajin about this, who called Phillies games for years for the Phillies Spanish network. And from what I've been told, it is the worst place to call a game, Nats Park. Oscar, can you confirm that Nats Park is the worst place to call a game?
It's not even close, Mike. It's not even close. I mean, going there is like being, let me put it this way, we're closer to the moon than we're closer to the field. I mean, as simple as that.
Worst place I've heard from a lot of people to call a game, Nats Park. Other than that, it's not a terrible ballpark. It's just a terrible press box, right? Place to call a game.
It's way up there. I mean, you're like on the 12th floor, Jeff. I mean, it's like you're way up high. There. The writers are below the booth. And the booths are like next to the lights. I mean, that's how close it is. It is bad. Let me put it this way. It's as bad that you don't know if it is a ground ball or an infield fly.
The booth should be – they should always have a better view than we do to call a game. It's hard to call a game. Oscar knows that. The fact that I have a better view than him, and I'll tell you how high it is. I went to opening day last year. I went with a couple buddies. We sat front row behind the Phillies bullpen in left field. Oscar waved and I could barely see him. I normally can see him. I had to zoom in on my phone. I could barely see him.
I had a white flag. I mean, just getting up
there.
Yeah,
he literally was like waving a flag. And I'm like, oh, I see you.
Well, boys, before we get into tonight's game in the series here against the Nationals, let's look back at Saturday and Sunday, because Thursday night we talked about on Friday, that was more indicative of who the Phillies have been all season. Manaea shuts them down, the offense scuffles, and it's a frustrating loss. Saturday and Sunday, it was a party at the ballpark, a historic night. Oscar, I'll start with you. A historic weekend for Schwarber and Harper, but some takeaways from the weekend against the Mets.
Look, to me, it's kind of hitting season has started. I mean, it's June and hitting season has started. I mean, the way Schwarber and Harper hit, I mean, each of them with 4 hits, doing something that has only been done in baseball one more time, and actually in Philly by the New York Yankees. We used to, I mean, it was during the time where the Phillies were called the Philly Athletics. So that's how far we go back. I mean, hitting for the cycle and hitting 2-3 home runs by Schwarber, another home run by Schwarber, another home run by Harper yesterday. I mean, these guys are carrying this team, and they're not looking back. I mean, the Phillies in June, they have an over 5 runs per game. I mean, throughout the season, we were below 4. And I mean, this team we're right now, we went from being 28th in baseballs in runs scored to being 20th. That's how this weekend were for the Phillies. It's been incredible the last 3 weeks, how the hitting has woken up. And look, when Schwarber and Harper hit and the way they're being hitting, I mean, this team is going to go a long way, I mean, to win a lot of baseball games.
Jeff, we know the historic nature of what we saw from Schwarber and Harper, but I thought one of the other parts of this was, hey, you had Turner on base, 5 times? I think he scored all 5 times. Bohm, I think Bohm's on pace for 90 RBI all of a sudden. There's so many other little parts of this that is when they are all clicking at the same time. The problem is you need this to click in October, right? And that's what this team has really lacked.
Yeah, I would agree. But right now, you got to enjoy what you're enjoying right now. I mean, if you look at the OPS on individuals on this team for a month, you got Stott up there, you got Bohm up there. You're getting the contribute. Like Turner's even a little bit higher in OPS this month. Schwarber's in the thousands. Harper's in the 900s. Brandon Marsh is normally where he is, 810, 820, 830. Like this lineup has been deep this month, and you're getting contribute. Justin Crawford's hitting 270 this month. Like you're getting guys to perform, and Adolis Garcia was saying before he got hurt. So it's very interesting how, and the numbers are the numbers, right? Oscar just pointed it out. They're averaging over 5 runs per game this month. They're starting to look like the team we thought they were going to look like before the season. I have to point this out. I know Oscar has been waiting for this guy to hit all season long. And Mundo Sosa, 890 OPS this month. That's big for them.
I mean, it's everybody. It's everybody.
Well, I was going to ask you,
numbers.
Oscar. I was going to ask both you guys. Can they keep playing Sosa? He's essentially becoming their left fielder right now. I mean, is this sustainable?
Well, it's sustainable. That is the bigger question here, and I don't know the answer to that. The reality is, we know based on history that particularly Schwarber is when the weather gets hot. I mean, he is an amazing hitter, and we're experiencing that right now. But you go in April, we scored 3.88 runs, 26 in baseball. In May, we go up to 4 runs, 22 in baseball. In the month of June, we're 8th in baseball scoring runs at a 5.5 pace. And it's just what is the 20, what day is today? The 22nd of June. So 5.5, 8th in baseball, 8th in home runs. I mean, we're starting to see this team come together. The question, I think we need to address the issue in the outfield. I think the issue in the outfield is a big issue that we need. That's not going to go away. I mean, we didn't do anything in right field this weekend. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, we have a hole in the outfield.
And there's something else. By the way, the Phillies have just announced that Alan Rangel has been called up. They did not say whether he will pitch tonight or not, but I would imagine
I would assume he's pitching tonight based on what Dave Dombrowski, what Don Mattingly basically said last night and what that's leading to. By the way, Kyle Backus is back as well. Yeah. Bryce Wilson has been optioned, not surprising there. They said that was going to happen last night, and Max Lazar was optioned too. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be musical chairs right now until Andrew Painter's back, and I don't even think he's going to be pitching till at least Friday, maybe even longer than that.
All right.
No, Alan Rangel, you mean Alan Rangel? He's starting tonight. I mean, he's pitching. About
Painter.
Oh, Painter, I'm sorry. Alan Rangel will pitch tonight. I don't know if they're going to have a starter. That is the big question.
Yeah. It's still TBA.
Particularly with this team. I mean, this is the number 1 hitting team in scoring runs in baseball. I mean, just keep that in mind. So
this is a good baseball team. This is an over 500 team they're playing here.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt that we'll start with a starter.
Well, Washington's offense, this is a challenge because, you're back into the rotation now. You've got Luzardo, you've got Nola, and then you've got Rangel probably tonight. So you're going to get the back end of the rotation facing a really good offense here. So this should be interesting. But I want to go back to what you said, Oscar, about this outfield. I don't want to be a party pooper or a Debbie Downer here, but you saw Brandon Marsh against Minaya strike out 3 times. Then last night against Peterson, he struggled a little bit. His numbers against lefties, he's down to 250. His on base is like 280. The OPS is in the 600s.
The larger sample size is creeping in.
It's starting to wonder if against left-handers, they've already moved Marsh down. I think yesterday hit 7th in the game yesterday. I mean, you can't fix all 3 outfield positions, but do you want him facing lefties in October?
You asked me the question, and I said yes, but he needs to hit 7th. He needs to hit down in the order. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
You know what I liked? What was the other night, Oscar? It might have been I'm already losing my memory here. Bryson Stott hit 9th. I like that.
I mean, it's who you have. Unless you start bringing guys that are utility guys that are very good against lefties. I mean, this is what you're going to have to face. This is your team.
Mike, you asked a question.
We need to
bring
one
real
back.
Quick. Tim Meza will open tonight for the Phillies.
That's not surprising.
Alan Rangel looks like he will be the bulk starter.
And he'll pitch 4 innings. I don't think he'll pitch more than 3 or 4 innings, depending on how he goes. And that's another smart move the Phillies made. They moved Luzardo to pitch tomorrow and separating Nola and the Painter spot so you can save the bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you asked the question if this is sustainable, right?
Yes.
I think you just need it to be sustainable for a month until you add, right? Okay. I think we talked about what they need. I think they just need to get through this month.
Well, let's then translate. Let's transfer and move this ahead to Painter then. What do we know about what Painter's issues are? Why they sent him out? What are they hoping for? Because I'm of the opinion, I don't know about you guys. Okay, you both can comment on this afterwards, but if it's just a mechanical situation, I don't know that you see him up here or he's fixed there's a lot in this here. I mean,
so I learned,
Jeff, what do we know here?
So this is what I was told in Reading from scouts. They are pitching. How can I word this? There are too many pitches they're teaching him. He knows like 6 or 7 pitches. And as Oscar has always pointed out, why don't you just be like Christopher Sanchez and learn 3? So that's where, or master 3 of them. And that's where the problem is when you are with Zach Wheeler all the time. If he is, Zach Wheeler has all these pitches, but Zach Wheeler's also been in the league 15 years.
Exactly.
And, he wasn't like that when he came up. So maybe Christopher Sanchez is, but again, Christopher Sanchez likes to do his own stuff. He's not worried about anybody else, which is what he should be doing. But that's what they got to have Andrew Painter do. If he's trying to learn all these pitches, that's where the fastball kind of got away from him.
Yeah, I think the easy pitches part comes, or the easy pitches. I think the adjustments on his pitches and the expansion of his pitchers, throwing a splitter and throwing other pitches, is because he was in the majors. His fastball is not good enough. So they need to go to additional pitches to try to adjust the things. And what happened is you create a mess because the guy knows how to throw a slider. He knows how to throw a curve. He knows how to throw a fastball, particularly a rising fastball that is not rising, and he cannot locate. So he needs to find a way. I think going back to the minors, giving him 10, 15 days, whatever number of days he needs to get himself his mind right and getting himself right, and then begin to work on mechanics. I don't think he's going to be here any earlier than 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, if he comes back this year.
Okay, so that's the timeline. That would be the timeline that makes sense to me. But Jeff, are you hearing differently?
I'm hearing.
I don't see it.
No, I'm hearing after the All-Star break. That's what I'm hearing.
That's like the July timing. Why put a timing on the guy? Don't put a timing on the guy. Once you go and you prove to me that you are ready to come back to the majors, we bring you back to the majors. I don't care. There's no timeline to me. When you're having mechanical issues,
but they need to get their starter and able to fix that. Like they just signed Colby Howard this week, and he got rocked yesterday. That's not the answer.
I mean, look, you and I could go pitch at AAA too. I mean, it's like, we're gonna get rocked too.
You know what's gonna help him in AAA? The first start he makes at home, he'll get a lot of media attention. Not as much as he got in Philly, but he'll get it. After that, it's gonna calm down, and it's gonna be back to he's just pitching in AAA. The one who's going to be having to face the heat is not Andrew Painter. It's Nate Dombrowski.
Yeah. To me, there cannot be a timeline.
If they can find somebody in the interim here, that would take a lot of the pressure off of everybody, so that guy could fill those starts, and that maybe the impetus isn't to rush him back. The problem is they just don't have anybody.
You're asking a lot of Tim Mason and Alan Rangel right now. You need a lefty. I mean, Backus is back, but you still need Backus to perform at that level he kind of was. Like, he's got the stuff, but we really haven't seen that much of Backus this season.
Well, Jeff, your point is valid. Mesa is almost becoming your best high-leverage left-hander. Now you're using him as a starter.
Yeah, you're using him all over the place. And, he can handle it. It's not like he can't, but you're asking him to do a lot more than he's capable of right now.
Look, Alan Rangel, 3-4, 399, 14 games, 11 starts, 7 innings. I mean, this guy ain't it. I mean, in his last start, he pitched 4 innings. He got 6 hits, 2 bases on balls, 7 strikeouts, and then he allowed 2 home runs. So, I mean, let's not call this guy the savior. I mean, this guy.
No, he's definitely not the savior.
He's going to come pitch 3. Maybe he pitches well enough 4 innings, and then you're going to rely on your bullpen. So expect the bullpen to throw at least 5 innings to try to survive.
If he can do anything near what he did for them last year, remember that 5-inning game he pitched in Pittsburgh? If he can do anything close to that, that's a win for them.
Yeah, and obviously, I agree more with what Oscar said. I mean, to me, 6 to 8 weeks would be, hey, we're not rushing you back. We don't need you right now. Just go, because we're going to need you. Now, the question is, Jeff, he didn't pitch on his turn here. do they plan on having him pitch in a minor league game this particular week coming up?
I think it's going to be this week. They said 7 to 10 days as of Thursday. So I would assume maybe Sunday they do that. I still say it's going to be 5 or 6 minor league starts, which if they go by that turn, then that would line up with the 6 to 8 weeks, right? At least 6 weeks. But that's
I mean, to me, with a situation like, we rushed them to come in here.
Yeah.
He came here. He was put in a very difficult position. He went 1-8 with a 7 ERA. Last year, he was in the minors. He had an over 5 ERA. This guy's not ready. I mean, let him get ready. And when his numbers will tell us when he's ready. But before that, he's, to me, indefinitely in the minor leagues, and just try to get himself right.
Hey, listen.
This is what I think they're hoping, that they can skip that turn after the break, go back to him that week. I mean, do you really want this guy coming up against the Dodgers or the Yankees, though?
No,
but here's the problem.
See, that's where I agree with you. I think they should wait till after that 10-game stretch and then bring
Here's the problem as I see it, boys. You need to find a bat or two, and probably another bullpen arm. How much do you want to give away to try to get another starting pitcher?
You might need to get a bad contract. That's it. That's the other option you have here. You get a bad contract. You overpay for that contract to get him here. And try to survive. I mean, I'm telling you, we had a great weekend. I mean, particularly Saturday and Sunday, great weekend. Let's go back to reality. This team needs to start getting ready for October. This team needs to start playing much better ball in October. Right now, we'll survive. I mean, we'll survive. There's no doubt about that. I mean, look,
here's the problem.
We're within distance.
They were the hot team going
division.
into October last year, and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We're within distance of winning the division right now. I mean, the Braves, their pitching is completely hurt. They're faltering. I mean, the Braves are faltering, and I'm not saying that we want to win the division and all that. They're within
they're
distance.
in striking distance again. Yeah.
Yes, 6.5 games away. So, but beyond that, I don't think this team needs to start getting ready for winning the division. We have to play good baseball, continue winning the way we're winning since Mattingly got in, and the most important thing right now is trying to find what is going to be the team that is going to be playing in October for this team, particularly addressing the issue in the outfield with a batter, and particularly determining what are you going to do with a fifth starter that can maybe potentially pitch out of the bullpen in a postseason.
Yeah, Jeff, your point is valid. Like, hey, if you're not hot at the right time, but I think the biggest thing from here for me is to find more consistency. And what that means is find someone that can push your lineup down a man or two.
You got to strengthen the lineup. That's what I think
you need more depth in the lineup.
Yeah.
You can't go into a playoffs where you're counting on Brandon Marsh to have to hit in the middle of your order when he can't face lefties and he has to hit, or Alec Boehm hitting in the middle of your order. That's a recipe for failure when you go to October.
Correct. And that's where I look, I thought they did exactly what they had to do last year in getting Harrison Bader. Then Harrison Bader got hurt. So you went back to square one. You have to find at least 2 this year. You got to find at least 2 back. If you have to trade Ramon Marquez or Ryan Heredia to do that, I know I don't want that, but that may be what it takes to get those types of players.
And by the way, be careful with the Nationals and the Marlins. They're 2 games away. They're right there hitting our foot.
That's why it's good to win series. You won the series against the Marlins. You won the series against the Mets. Find a way to take 3 or 4. If you took 3 or 4 from the Nationals this week, given what they're dealing with,
you get them out. I agree.
I will tell you this: 4 for 5 from Schwarber, 2 homers in 1 inning, 3 homers in a game, another one last night, 4 for 5 for Harper, almost a cycle again last night.
Think about what Kyle Schwarber's doing right now. He has the most home runs through 77 games in Phillies history.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Well, but my biggest takeaway from the weekend was Trey Turner and the importance he could bring if he gets on base. Because if he's on base and Schwarber and Harper are doing this, you're scoring a lot of runs, man.
So I want to answer. I know what you guys think. I want to tell the fans this. You want to rip on Dave Dombrowski for every single move he makes. Why don't you pat him on the back for re-signing Kyle Schwarber right now? because that contract looks incredible. He's having his best year.
I will say a lot of people were worried because everybody would say, myself included, you really going to hit 58 homers again? Well, he's seemingly on pace to do it.
That's a big risk.
By the way, I was talking to John Foley, and now he's going to have at Foley's, he's going to have Schwarber bats, beginning to have Schwarber bats because, I mean, the guy is going to make history. Look, he's ready. He's ready to hit. You can go to FoleyOnSouth.com 24/7. You can go there, www.FoleyOnSouth.com. And with a $75% dollar purchase, you get free shipping. So go to FoleyOnSouth.com.
All right, boys. Tomorrow we're back.
By the way, guys,
Phillies,
this weekend, good preview for seeing Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper in the home run derby.
Hopefully. Well, we saw a lot of bombs. We saw 1,250 feet of home runs from Kyle Schwarber on Saturday. Then he gets you one to go up 5-0 last night. By the way, Harper, what'd you guys think of that whole situation? First off, he would have been out if the shortstop had half a brain and just threw it to third and trying to start the cut.
All right, can I give my perspective as someone who's friends with the scorer of that game?
Oh, let me hear it.
He was right. That is the right call.
It's the right call. Right.
But Bryce Harper, I agree with you. He's dead out.
Dead
out.
He
committed. Yeah. So you really got nothing to lose in an 11-1 game. You really ain't.
Yeah. Hey, I love it. Let's just put it that way. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave with that. Phillies Fastball's back tomorrow. We'll look back at the night against the Nationals and get you ready for Tuesday night's game as well. Oscar and Jeff, great stuff as always. We'll see you tomorrow on Phillies Fastball, boys.
Go Phils.
All right, there's our Phillies Fastball today and our Phillies Fastball segment. It's brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go to watch every Phillies game. And don't forget, we're going to be at Ventnor Social July the 29th. You know what that is? The day after the Eagles report for training camp. We will be live at Ventnor Social, the place to go to watch Phillies game 64-17. Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor, bringing you today's Phillies Fastball. I got a number for you that stands out to me as well. This is from Luke Arcaney, who covers the Phillies for Crossing Broad. How about Bryce and Stott with runners in scoring position? 375 with a 446 on base and a 1,160 OPS with runners in scoring position. By the way, Phillies lineup is out. Brought to you by Chachi's 13th Floor. Coming soon to Rafici's on the White Horse Pike in Absecon. This is your chance to win a gift card, $100 to Villa Rafici's. Text your name and where you're from. And if the Phillies score 13 runs tonight against the Nationals, you could win a $100 gift card. If the Phillies do not score 13 runs tonight, we'll do it again tomorrow. And every Friday, if we don't have a winner during the week, we will select one lucky winner for a $25 gift card. We did have a winner on Friday's show, and we're going to open up the text board on the White Horse RV text board right now. 609-403-0973. Your name and where you're from. And here is tonight's lineup brought to you by Chachi's 13th Floor. Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, Sosa, Marsh, Hill, Stott, Marchand, and your pitcher is Tim Meza. He is getting the start tonight. Alan Rangel was called up from Lehigh Valley. He will be, I guess, the second pitcher in tonight. So Meza will start the game. Then it will probably be Rangel. Couple takeaways from the lineup. Sosa in left, Marsh in right, Hill in center. Anybody recognize this new guy Hill yet? He played center field. Stott is playing second, and Marchand is catching. That's your Phillies lineup, brought to you by Chachi's 13th Floor. Text your name and where you're from right now, and if the Phillies score 13 runs tonight, you could win a $100 gift card to Chachi's 13th Floor at Rafici's, coming soon to the White Horse Pike in Absecon, and you can use the gift card at Rafici's in Absecon. And if nobody scores 13 runs tonight, well, we'll try again tomorrow on the Sports Bash. All right, coming up on the other side, we told you the Eagles training camp date. But could they be nuclear for one key name? We'll explain. Coming up next on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. That is a Raider beat reporter who was on a podcast recently saying that, yeah, there's two teams that are in on Maxx Crosby, and they are nuclear trying to obtain Maxx Crosby. Hondo Carpenter, who is the Vegas Raiders beat reporter on Sports Illustrated, SI.com, covers the Raiders. Do you hear that? Do anything for you? Maxx Crosby? Nuclear? They're nuclear for Maxx Crosby. Does Maxx Crosby push your pile at all? That do anything for you?
I mean, I like the idea of getting Maxx Crosby. I would love to get Maxx Crosby. You and I have talked about before the idea of trading away, use an example, Nolan Smith as part of a package to get a Crosby or a Garrett or whoever.
Well, this was back in May when the Rams were interested in Crosby. And of course, he ended up getting traded to the Ravens. And that deal that with the Ravens, do we think that that would be the deal that would have to be done to get him again? Probably not, right? If you trade him to Baltimore and then that trade gets basically nixed, you don't give up as much as Baltimore did, correct?
Correct.
So the Ravens back out of their agreement, and that was 2 first-round picks. So you probably don't have to give up 2 first-round picks to get him, right?
No. You might have to give up a first
It was a
round
2026 and a 2027
Right.
first-round pick. So do you, if you're the Eagles and you're nuclear hot for this guy right now, you say, I'll give you my 2027 and the Patriots pick in 2028?
I mean, I don't know if I give up both, but I think you have to consider it at least because if you're in win now mode and you have a team that there are still some questions of the pass rush. Jonathan Gennard is a very good pass rusher. He's coming off of an injury. Nolan Smith has been a disappointment. Jalen Hunt is on the come up, but he ain't near his full potential
If
yet.
they ask for Jalen Hunt over Nolan Smith,
I'm out.
wow.
Now, I'm not saying the Eagles are out, but I'm out. I think of the two, Jalen Hunt has shown that he has a much higher ceiling at this point than Nolan Smith does.
Yeah, I think we all agree that Hunt is the better player right now, but is Hunt a better player than Crosby?
Right now, no. Maybe in 4 years,
Crosby's 28 years old. The problem with him is the knee. It's why the Ravens ended up moving on from him, is they didn't really feel confident enough to give up 2 first-round picks after they did the knee test and everything out there. But you take a look at Crosby underwent knee surgery at the start of the offseason, and he is kind of working his way back. I guess the anticipation is that he will be able to play and be ready, but the Ravens didn't think so.
No, the Ravens didn't think so. And I think if we're being fair, Crosby's injuries are more than just the Ravens. You know what I mean? I think his injuries are much more than just he's had other injuries in the past as well. He's been banged up for a guy who's just 28, 29 years old.
Yeah, he is a premier pass rusher. Okay, let's ask that. Do you put him in the premier pass rushing category?
Absolutely.
Difference maker, got him on
Yes.
your team,
Yes.
changes your defense. Then don't you have to give up? If you would say, I'll give you 2028 New England pick,
Yeah.
and Jalen Hunt.
If I can get away with only giving up those two things, I think you have to make the deal, even though that I don't want to make the deal. Because I think Crosby is that much of a difference maker. I think he is one of the few players who could be theoretically traded who makes that kind of difference.
Yeah, if he was like, I would have made the trade for
Myles Garrett.
No matter what they asked for. Jalen Carter, fine. I feel like Crosby's obviously a step down from Garrett.
He's not a massive step down.
No, he's not a massive step down. He's a step up from everything you have currently.
Yes.
And that includes Jalen Hunt.
I'll include Jonathan Gennard as well. He is definitely a better impactful player than Grenard is.
I definitely agree with that as well. I think Crosby turns into instantaneously your best pass rusher. Now, am I as excited about that as I would have been for Myles Garrett? Probably not.
Maybe not, but I think you should be as excited because if Crosby is healthy, that dude has shown that he is more than just I get sacks. He is a guy who can play the run some. He is somebody who can be basically harassing the quarterback every single down to the point where he may not always get the sack, but he's going to make the life miserable for the other team.
Okay, this was a proposed trade that I've seen on social media. Okay. Maxx Crosby to Philadelphia, 2027 first-round pick, 2028 first-round pick, Jalen Carter.
That's too much. Because now what you're doing is you're giving up multiple first-round picks and
you're basically giving the trade, but more than Baltimore gave up.
Correct. But also you're giving up more than you could have theoretically given up for Myles Garrett.
Well, here's the reason why I would just wonder about this trade offer. The Jeffery Simmons deal the other day puts you in a bind. Do you want to pay Jalen Carter what he just got paid, if not more?
Why not?
3 years, over $100 million. He got $100 million guaranteed.
Yes, he did.
Do we trust that Jalen Carter is that player?
I think that Jalen Carter's potential is more than Simmons.
Potential is the word. Injuries, issues, he's missed some games.
He has.
He's had a little off the field stuff. I mean, nothing that has really forced him to miss games, although he did get suspended for the first game of the season.
Right.
Nothing further than that. Is there a reason why the Eagles didn't set the market with Carter and waited for the market to be set?
Probably because they want to see if all this offseason work that he's doing right now is going to show up in training camp.
Because they're on the clock now with Jalen Carter. If you're Jalen Carter's agent, you're just saying Simmons just got 3 years, $105 million. $100 million of that's guaranteed.
Right.
What about us?
Right. What about us?
What about us is now? Do the Eagles now say, that's the price, that market is now set, we don't want to be in that market?
It's fair, but I just think that if they were going to move on from Carter, they would have done it already. You know what I mean? Like
how?
Well, you mentioned the Myles Garrett deal. Like they would have said,
if in fact the Browns had interest in Carter. We don't know that. We haven't heard any reporting.
Okay, that's possible. Maybe this goes back to the argument that I would be guilty if I didn't use my own argument against me. My argument has always been, when it comes to trades, does the other team value your guy as much as you value them? You know, maybe the Browns are a team that says, we don't like Jalen Carter as much as maybe the Raiders do.
Yeah, I just wonder if the Eagles trust Jalen Carter. That's all. That would be my question there. Do the Eagles have enough trust in Jalen Carter to pay him the money?
All right,
and if your answer is no, and I can now, if I'm the Eagles, I don't give up Jalen Carter with 2 first-round picks. Do I give up Jalen Carter and another pick? Is it a first-round pick in 2027? Is it the Patriots pick in 2028? Is it my own pick in 2028?
Right.
I don't know, but I think 2 first-round picks in Carter, now you're giving up more than what Crosby was obtained for
by
the first time when he got traded to the Ravens. So I think that's a little out of bounds.
So if I can flip the question back to you, my question is, if in order to get Maxx Crosby, you have to give up one of those first-round picks with Jalen Carter, are you doing it in part because you know Moro Ojomo is on the ascent?
Yeah, but
like does Moro Ojomo,
and I have to also pay him.
That's why I'm asking you.
And I also have to pay Quinyon Mitchell-Cooper-DeJean.
Right. But what I'm asking you is part of the consideration of Carter is saying, I got this Moro Ojomo guy who's going to cost me less than Carter will. I can go with Ojomo and Davis.
It's a possibility, and I'll tell you why. Because if you try to approach Ojomo and get that locked up now, he doesn't get the offer that Milton Williams ended up getting.
Correct.
Unless you're Moro Ojomo's agent and you say, we're not accepting your offer because we know what Milton Williams ended up getting, and we feel that we can get a similar offer if we don't accept your offer and just play out the season.
Very true.
So you better know that Mario Ojomo is willing to accept a deal from you.
Right.
If you are ready to move on. Now, if you let Jalen Carter, if you trade him before this season starts, now you're a little light at tackle because you have Carter and Davis and Ojomo. If you ascend Ojomo to the top spot, who's the third guy?
Is that where you're hoping that Ty Robinson steps up this year?
You did draft Ty Robinson. You also have
Gabe Hall.
Gabe Hall is a guy. I mean, the Eagles have done a decent job of finding some rotational third
Young.
pieces.
They also have Young, too. Byron Young.
So
it's not like they're completely empty at D tackle, whereas part of the reason why you're getting Crosby is because your defensive end situation is very thin. I know they signed Ebiketie in the offseason, and I like the idea of them bringing in A.J. Epinesa, but you'll have Geoff Mosher coming on with you in about 18 minutes from now. Geoff Mosher talked about the fact that there's no guarantee that the Epinesas, the Ebiketies are going to be anything good because of what happened last year. You brought in 20 different guys like Okongwu and all these guys to try, and you had to sign Zaire Smith the day after the first game of the year anyway.
Yeah, so Crosby, just for the people out there, last year he was 15 games, ended up with 10 sacks. The most sacks he's had in a season, 14 and a half. He had that in 2023. He played in 2024, missed 5 games. He had only 7.5 sacks that season. I say only 7.5 sacks, but that was in 12 games. He has been a 5-time Pro Bowler, which doesn't really mean much anymore. But he is Defensive Player of the Year. He finished in the top 10 in the rankings 3 times, and he has been an AP first-team All-Defense and second-team All-Defense on multiple occasions. I mean, you're getting a very good pass rusher. He's certainly a step down from Myles Garrett.
But again, he's a step up from what you have now, a significant step up.
Good against the run, plays behind the line of scrimmage, tackles for loss. He led the league in tackles for loss on multiple occasions. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who is a difference maker.
But even more importantly, he fits your culture. He's a guy that fits what the Eagles love from their guys, the work ethic, the attitude, man in the community. He just checks every box. The only thing that concerns you is when the Ravens failed his physical, is that a red flag or not? That, to me, that's the only what if with him.
Sure.
Everything else is
anything injury related. Trying to be back and better than ever because he wants to prove them wrong.
Oh, he's training like an angry man. Right
and
now.
Can you benefit from that? The biggest question for me is, if you're the Raiders, do you take Jalen Carter? And are the Eagles, with the latest information on this Simmons deal, do the Eagles want to stay in the Carter game? We'll talk to Geoff Mosher about it in 15 minutes here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And we'll see what he thinks is a big move for a guy like Maxx Crosby, even in the cards in his mind. More Sports Bash coming up on 97.3 ESPN. Michelle Smallman this morning on Sportsmanlike said that. What happens if the U.S. goes and wins this whole thing? We talked a little about this on Friday, and I thought more about it after they beat Australia 3-0. What happens if the U.S. goes and wins this whole thing? I still don't know that I have the answer to the question. I don't really think anything changes.
Well, first of all, there's a huge difference between you and I or anybody having a conversation about what happens if it does. It's a whole other thing, Michelle acting like this is more realistic than it is.
Well, they're going to play on what, Wednesday night or Thursday night? Thursday night?
Yeah.
The game doesn't mean anything. They have already advanced to the field of 32. So they are into the next round no matter what happens on Thursday night. It has no bearing on anything. So the big question has become now almost like a football game. Do you play your starters? Do you play guys? And to that, I would say you almost have to. This is a team that's been formed for about a month. Don't they have to get more time together? One of the things that if you watch this team play versus teams that you have seen in the past, there's one thing that I noticed right off the bat. This team actually has skill, right? It's not just a half-assed team.
Teams in the past have skill.
Not to this level. This is a
they
real
have better
team.
athletes.
Okay, all of that. They have skill at a much higher level than any of the teams that I've ever seen play in the past. It's not even close. This looks like a real team. The teams before, they've lost to Trinidad and Tobago. They've lost to countries that have 47 people that live on an island and 11 happen to play soccer, and they beat you. No. This team is significantly more skilled than any other American soccer team.
That's great. It doesn't mean that you're going to beat teams who are also
not what I'm
really
saying.
good too.
But my point is, that's why I have to play the game and try to continue to mesh in real-time game action. Because if I want to make any noise when I get to the round of 32 and think that I do have a shot to scare anybody, I can't be out there and not have played more than 3 games together and say, let's go win this thing. That's the difference between a lot of these countries. They get to play together all the time on the national level.
Yes and no. A lot of those other teams, they got guys playing on the Premier League and Champions League teams too.
They do, but many of those guys on the national level play a lot more national games together than the United States team does. The U.S. just doesn't. And by the way, this is the first time, I was asking my buddy the other night, where do a lot of these guys from the United States team play? And this is the first time that almost every single guy in the lineup plays overseas.
I totally get that, but I feel like you and Michelle Small are trying to really talk yourselves into this.
I'm not talking myself into anything. I have no expectations that they'll do anything other than probably win the game Thursday and lose the game on Saturday. But I hope I'm wrong because they are way more skilled. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. And, of course, Geoff Mosher here on a Mosher Monday, the Sports Bash Football at 4. It's brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. And don't forget, we'll have tickets to go see Matt Rife on Friday. We'll be live at Jersey Cal, so stop out and see us there. And you can win tickets to go see comedian Matt Rife if you stop out to the New Jersey Cal grand opening. All right, Geoff Mosher is here from the Inside the Birds podcast, and he joins us for today's edition of Football at 4. Mosher, what's going on, brother?
Mike, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Everything's good. We got the official dates for Eagles training camp. Are you ready to go back to work? July the 28th, the Eagles will be back on the field. So we got a little over a month to hang out and have some fun.
Yeah, we do. I will be ready when it's time. Although, as I check here real quickly, yeah, I'm actually not going to be in the area for that specific day. So I'm going to be I'm turning 50 this summer, Mike. My mother was kind enough to throw me a little party, so I'll be hanging out with her. Yeah,
I'll be right behind you, man. I'll be 50 in January, so not this calendar year, but the next calendar year. So I'll be chasing you along there. But
I'll let you know what it's like. I'll definitely give you a heads up if I'm still alive by January.
The Eagles back to work. July 28th is when the Eagles will report, and then obviously we'll have plenty to report on. We do have some mailbag questions for our summer Eagles mailbag for Football at 4. There is some stuff I do want to get into. There was a report or somebody suggesting that the Eagles could be in on Maxx Crosby. Is that something that you think is a name that makes sense? The reporter from Sports Illustrated said the Eagles and the Niners nuclear was the name he used in on Crosby. Does that make sense to you at all?
Well, nuclear is a very strong term. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, if I were to use the word nuclear and say the Eagles are nuclear after a player, I would expect that deal to be done by the end of the day. That's me personally. I'm not trying to criticize. I don't even know I think the Hondo, was that the name of the person who reported? I'm just saying, like, I'm careful with my phrasing on terms like nuclear. Obviously, the Eagles are always interested. They were interested in Maxx Crosby before the Ravens tried to trade for him. From what I understand, just talking to some people who are close to in the NFL or understand the Raiders organization, it's more likely that Crosby will be with the Raiders this year. And if they do move off of him, it will wind up being because of a trade that netted them something similar to what they were going to get from the Ravens, which is 2 first-round picks. So, right? That was what the deal was, 2 first-round picks that the Ravens were willing to offer, I believe?
A 2027 first-round pick and a 2026 in the draft that just passed, right. And then one for next year's draft, which obviously it was 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby.
Right. So would the Eagles be willing to offer a 2027 first-round pick? And then
do you think, though, after they backed out of the trade, that the compensation would have to be the same?
Well, what I'm telling you is, from what I understand, that's what the Raiders are looking for. So does it have to be? I don't know. It depends on how motivated the Raiders really are to move him. But I mean, it sure sounds, from what I gather, that they're okay with keeping him. They signed a truckload of free agents. They have a new regime. Nothing says that, with the Chiefs trying to see where they're at. They're in a little bit of transition with Mahomes coming back from his ACL. The Broncos are still very good. The Chargers are trying to get over the hump. But, you see, when you have a new regime, you can be within a year or two pretty good. And, I'm sure they have a lot of faith in their new coach, who was just the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks, who helped them win a championship in 1 year. So my point is, from what I understand, that the Raiders have not backed down from that kind of an offer. And so now, if you're the Eagles, are you going to give them next year's first-round pick? And then, you got 2 in 2028 because you made a trade with the Patriots. But, Mike, we spent an awful lot of time talking about all the players the Eagles are going to have to extend or let walk over the next year or two. If I'm the Eagles, I'm trying to keep as many of those high top 100 picks as possible, because I'm going to have to do a lot of retooling in case I lose a lot of these guys. So I don't know how realistic it is.
Yeah, so let me throw it to you this way, and it goes to a mailbag question that we got here. This one's from Marcus in Cherry Hill, and he says, "Hey, Jeff and Mike, with the news that the Titans locked up Jeffery Simmons, 3 years, $105 million, $100 million in guarantees, how much does this push the Eagles to try to get something done with Jalen Carter and lock him up to a long-term deal?" This question is a good one from Marcus. It also breaks off a lot of other questions. Do the Eagles want to pay him what Jeffery Simmons got? Are they looking at that? Why didn't we set the market, or we wanted the market set? Would they trade Jalen Carter because they don't want to pay him what Jeffery Simmons got paid? So instead of a pick, maybe you put Carter in a deal like that. There's a lot there.
Yeah,
good
there's
question,
a lot
Marcus.
there, and of course, good job, Marcus. There's obviously, so it does open up the door for a lot of different opportunities. The one thing that, like, I think sometimes fans, not just Eagles fans, every fan does, is like see something like that and think, oh my God, like now my player or the player I root for, the team I root for has to pay even more, like X amount of dollars more. I mean, Jeffery Simmons has been the best defensive tackle in football for a couple of years now, and he's better than Jalen Carter. Now, maybe Jalen Carter has more upside. Maybe he will be a better player, but if someone's going to like get mad at me for saying that Jeffery Simmons is a better player or has proven more than Jalen Carter in this league, then I think that they're nuts, to be honest with you. I mean, Jalen Carter was awesome as a rookie, but he obviously dealt with a lot of injuries, and is both at Georgia, he had the shoulders. Now he's got the shoulder. He wasn't as much of an impact player last year as the year before. So there's no law that says Jalen Carter needs to be paid $35 million a year. And if Drew Rosenhaus wants to ask for it, he can ask for it. And if he doesn't get it, then, and he says, well, then trade my client, we'll see. That's up to Jalen Carter. But I think the floor for Jalen Carter would now be 35. I'm sorry, the ceiling would be 35. It's more likely he's in the 31 to 34 range. So maybe this deal for Simmons, who also is represented by Drew Rosenhaus, by the way, maybe that helps the Eagles get him at a price that's more reasonable than having to pay north of 35 million.
All right, let's go to David, who is in Ridley Park, PA. Do we actually need Crosby, or is this just classic Howie Roseman never being satisfied? If they pull the trigger, what's the realistic type of package that doesn't involve giving up Jalen Carter? We kind of hit on that a little bit there, but do we think you actually – I think the first part of his question is a good one. Do you actually need Crosby?
I mean, no. I mean, you don't need him, but just like with the Myles Garrett conversation, right? When you add a guy who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, you are that much better of a football team, and you have fewer questions, right? I mean, Jalen Hunt had a really nice breakout last year. I think the world of Jalen Hunt, but I can't sit here and sign a document right now that officially states that Jalen Hunt is going to be a superstar, right? Or not going to have any regression or anything like that. And we saw that 2 years ago. It looked like Nolan Smith, when they won the Super Bowl, was on his way to becoming one heck of a player. But last year, didn't stay healthy, took a step back. So honestly, your only bona fide, sure Pro Bowl edge rusher right now is Jonathan Grenard. And he's coming off of shoulder surgery. So I think you'd have much fewer questions. I know you would have fewer questions if you brought Maxx Crosby into this edge rush rotation. You would feel really confident about what you got, and then you'd figure it out from there.
All right, let's go to Brian in Washington Township. Moshe, with all the changes over the offseason, including adding some young weapons like Mekhi Lemon, how do you expect the offense identity to shift during the 2026 season? Is this a more balanced attack, or is this staff going to double down on the explosive pass-heavy scheme that we have seen to maximize all these wideouts? Brian, Washington Township.
That was a lot of questions in one question. I would say that the offensive identity will be that the Eagles will still want to run the ball at a higher than league average rate. But what they would like to do with their passing game is to be able to work that off of some under center play action, as opposed to their passing game in the past, which has been like we run the ball, and then we get to like second or third and long, and then we drop back and pass. There wasn't a real marriage or a symmetry between the run game and the pass game. There is an expectation with these Shanahan style offenses, McVay style, these modernized West Coast offense, that you're trying to do a better job of marrying your run concepts with your play action concepts, so things look similarly and they open up things in the pass game for you. All that stuff about like explosives or the second, that remains to be seen. It's not like the Eagles have a ton of explosive passing weapons that we know of. We know Devontae Smith can be explosive, but without A.J. Brown, I mean, Mekhi Lemon will be a slot receiver. I know everybody's like enamored with what he's looked like on certain video clips in practice, but we have to see if he is an explosive receiver. He's not a guy who is known for beating a defense over the top. Dallas Goedert's now, 31? He's still a very productive over-the-middle receiver, but is he going to turn around and break contact, stay healthy, and turn 8-yard gains into 20-yard gain? I don't know. Is the running back going to be a featured part of this pass offense like we've wanted it to be? I can't tell you that. That's got to be something that we see when the regular season starts. So I do think the Eagles, without A.J. Brown, lack a secondary or a tertiary or even a primary explosive option, but they could do better as a unit making yards after the catch. I imagine Eli Stowers has an explosive element to his game, but I don't know how much he's going to be out there to begin with and how simple it is going to be for him to translate it over to the NFL level. So I almost think the Eagles will be a little bit more deliberate and methodical at first on how they move the ball. Mm-hmm. And we'll see if like a guy like Dontavian Wicks or Marquise Brown, right? We'll see if they can bring an explosive element to this pass offense along with Devontae Smith.
Thank you, Brian. Let's go to Ray in Millville. How confident do you think Vic Fangio is in Jahad Campbell? It's an interesting question because he really liked Nakobe Dean.
He did, but he also had no problem starting Jahad Campbell for the first 8 games of last year as a rookie. It's not like he started him, but like nursed him, right? Or pulled him for Jeremiah Trotter. He just started him. He was basically playing every ILB snap until Nakobe Dean came back. So
right, but I would interject and say when Dean came back, Campbell essentially had no role.
That is correct. But I mean, Nakobe Dean's not there anymore. So I would think he goes right back to Campbell. And as long as Campbell is healthy in year 2 and is making strides, then he should be Vic's guy, unless he screws up. But, I mean, I think Vic is not afraid to play young, talented, athletic players. We saw it from Andrew Makuba. Last year, Makuba started, and remember, Makuba had some screw-ups. That Tampa Bay game where he let, Agbuka beat him over the top because he kind of messed up on a read. Like, he knows young guys are going to make mistakes. As long as they're compensating for him and growing each week, he'll play them.
All right, this one's from Tom in Marlton. Jordan Mailata said that he feels like a rookie again working under the new offensive line coach. What kind of transition do you think this will be for the line that have only played for one coach?
Yeah, I think it'll be, in some cases, difficult. In other cases, potentially easier or more alleviating. I mean, I think that I even had a talk with Jordan Mailata about this, so it's interesting you brought that up. After the season, I asked him if he felt like the way the Eagles play football, with the tush-push being such a prevalent part of their 3rd and 4th and short, and the inside zone, running up the gut, I asked him if he thought that was one of the reasons why the line really wore down over time and had all these injuries last year. And he said, I expected him to say no, but he acknowledged that yes, that the physical style, the punishing style that they've played with for so long may have, he wasn't sure, but contributed to guys getting hurt and guys wearing down. Plus teams were doing things differently. Defensively, they were slanting and, going across their face more to get into the backfield. So now you bring in a different zone blocking scheme where you're not always blocking hat on hat per se. You're moving horizontally, which is good if you have good athletes, which the Eagles do on the line. I mean, that might help preserve them a little bit and take advantage of their athleticism as a whole instead of just the center kicking out on inside zone. It might take advantage of their athleticism as a whole, moving sideways a little more, and may wear the defense down a little bit more because they're moving side to side.
All right. Chris in Ocean City, sorry. Do you think the edge rotation behind Gernard is elite enough to execute Fangio's vision here, or are we thin in the secondary. I guess the beginning of the question, which I couldn't fit because I don't get so many characters on the screen. He said, which position group has you more concerned, the edge rushers or the secondary?
Well, I've got no concerns about the secondary. I mean, I think the secondary might be the best in the NFL. And if that's the case, if they turn out to be, then they're going to help that edge group, which
he mentioned, by the way, sorry, he does say, are they thin if there's an injury to the secondary?
Oh, give me a secondary that's not, I mean,
true.
Well, I would argue though that in Jonathan Jones, a 15-year veteran, 13-year veteran, a guy who's played a lot of football, they have a veteran outside corner who can come in and play and has experience more so than they've ever had. They usually, whether it was Job or whether it was Eli Ricks or whether it was Keely Ringo, I mean, they had guys who were first off the bench who were young guys who didn't have a lot of NFL experience. So I actually think they have more depth at corner than they've had in the past. And same thing at safety with Epps and with Michael Carter the second. They got him with DeGene, who's going to play safety and base downs. They got three guys there alongside Makuba who played a lot of NFL games. So I do think the depth is better in the secondary.
All right. This one's from Kevin in Delran. Yo, Mosh, does a guy like Bernard have a shot at making the roster as a developmental depth piece? Kevin in Delran. Uar Bernard.
Yo, Kev. I was actually near Delran a lot this weekend in Rancocas Woods watching some.
I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, it's in that, like Mount Laurel, Mount Holly, Willingboro area, Does a guy like Bernard have a shot at making the roster? Well, I think they're using the exemption on him, if I'm not mistaken, right? I have to find out if that means if that carries through. Like if he makes the 53, are they still allowed to use the exemption on him to get like a 54th? I don't know. But I mean, they use a 7th round pick on him. So they plan that and they know he's going to have years of development. So it wouldn't shock me if he wound up on the 53, especially if they're allowed to use that exemption.
All right, let's go to, here. This one is from Tim. He didn't leave a town. Come on, Tim. We tell you got to leave your town. Who do you view as the single biggest threat in the NFC East and any specific division matchup that could give you a headache this year?
Oh, this is a great question for Inside the Birds fans because we are about to start our NFC East. We do this every summer. We do an NFC East preview series, but we bring Greg Cosell on, not to just say like, this is good, this is bad. We really get into the nuts and bolts of scheme and coaching philosophy. And there's new coordinators almost on every single team, right? Dallas got a new DC. Eagles have a new OC. Washington has a new OC and DC. The Giants have a new OC, DC head coach. So it's going to be a really awesome series, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty. I just think overall the division is better. There's more talent. I think you saw last year the Giants started to take a little step forward. They beat the Eagles in a game. Dallas probably should have beat the Eagles twice. If we're being honest about the season opener, CeeDee Lamb dropped the pass that if he catches it, Dallas could win that game. So, or at least tie it, I think.
Yeah.
There. So, I mean,
that was a game you were up 21-3 in the half.
Right. So, and then the Commanders, we won't count the resting starters game. They did beat the Eagles. That doesn't count. I think they've got work to do, but I expect them to be there last year. So, but right now I think the Cowboys with Christian Parker, with the additions they've made on defense, Jalen Thompson's a good safety. Quinnen Williams from last year upgraded the linebacker a little bit. And with the offense they had was already prolific. I think that they're a pretty good threat to the Eagles. And then we'll see about the Giants. I think they could be some sneaky. Their defense, the personnel, Mike, is very good.
I agree on the Giant thing. Could be the question too about giving you a headache. The Giants can give you a headache. That can be a pain in your ass.
100%. A John Harbaugh team can always be a headache for anybody because they're always well coached. They're always disciplined. They play a certain
something
style.
that the Giants had the lead in the fourth quarter in 8 games last year and lost all 8 games.
Yeah. That's why Dable got fired, I think, after the Bears did it, right? They came back from 18 points to win the game after, like, what team had done? The Broncos had done it, like, against them 3 weeks earlier. Yeah.
All right. Phil and Brigantine, one of our great listeners, says, Mike, Jeff, what health concerns are there related to Crosby? Shouldn't the compensation be less since the Ravens backpedaled off of that deal based on those concerns. That goes back, I guess, to our earlier conversation because he just texted that in on the text board here.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that just all comes down to, do the Raiders think he's damaged goods? And if they did, then they would probably trade him for something lower. But from what I understand, they are fine with him playing because they are trying to build up and they love the guy. I mean, the guy, great player, fits the community, all that. I mean, so unless they get a haul, then they're good with hanging on to him. So it's not like, it doesn't feel like an AJ Brown situation for them where it's untenable for him to return to the locker room. He's fine with being with the Raiders as far as I understand. So we'll see, unless there's we got a couple of weeks here before the start of training camp, unless some things turn. I don't see any, like, all of a sudden you're getting Maxx Crosby for like a 4th round pick discount.
Okay. This one is from Mike in the 97.3 studio. If the Eagles, do you think the Eagles?
Wait, is that you? You're Mike from 97.3. You trying to slide that one by me?
Yeah. That's what I'm doing here. Do we think the Eagles want to attach themselves long-term to Jalen Carter?
Want to? Sure.
Are they worried?
Well, yes. From what I understand, and this is from talking to some other teams who are trying to figure out what the Eagles are doing with Jalen Carter. From what I just talking to them, they feel like maybe there's some reluctance to want to extend him long-term at a huge amount of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about the years, about the money and the years and what's going to happen.
When they saw that,
I'm not hearing that they're completely against it or anything. They just have some concerns about exactly what they want to do going forward there.
Like when they saw that deal today, like, oh crap.
No, I mean, again, I think that if Jeffery Simmons is setting the floor at $35 million, then you don't have to pay Jalen Carter $35 million because he hasn't proven to be Jeffery Simmons yet. So in a sense,
so you think he gets less than Simmons, even though he's younger?
I mean, how old's Jeffery? He's just like Jeffery Simmons is 33, right? Simmons, what, 28, 29? I could be wrong on that.
Be 28 years old, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is not an old guy by any stretch. You're still getting the next 3 or 4 years of him being really good. So, see, Dexter Lawrence was at $32 million, right? And I think
Jalen Carter, by the way, 25, so 3 extra years.
Right, and Jalen and Chris Jones was somewhere north of $30 million. So you knew it was going to be north of $30 million. You just didn't want Simmons to sign for like $40 million, and then like now I got to give Jalen Carter like 38 or something. So I think it made it more obvious what Carter's tag is, something in that 30 to 33 range.
All right. I just, I wonder if I'm Jalen Carter, I'm the younger guy. I say, hey, I want more years. He got 3 years. I want 5 years at that average. And how much, do you feel comfortable knowing that you've got to pay the other guys still too?
Well, that's the point I was about to make with you, Mike. Let's say you're the Eagles and you're already paying Jalen Carter $26 million a year, right? You have a player like Moro Ojomo who's up on the end of his deal this year, and he's proven to be pretty good. It's 6.5 sacks, I think, 6 sacks last year for a DT. That's pretty good. He almost had numbers very identical to Milton Williams' 3rd year. So you'd have to be happy with that. And then you've got a couple of guys in the pipeline, Ty Robinson, plus guys that you have to pay going forward, which is Jalix Hunt and Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. So, it's not just about Jalen Carter maybe having a down year last year or having some off-field concerns that he came with. It might just be about resource allocation. I mean, they'd love to have a homegrown guy who they drafted in the top 10 be with them for a long time. But if it meant that they lose 2 guys because of it, or a guy that they like Moro Ojomo has to go when they could keep him at a lower rate and pay some other, all of that stuff factors into it. And so I'm sure they would like to try to find a deal that works best for them and Jalen Carter to keep them, but also allows them some financial ability to keep the entire defense intact.
All right. We'll continue our summer mailbag questions with Geoff. He is jumping in for Adam tomorrow on the show. So we have a ton more here that we will continue to throw your way. If you ever have questions, of course, text them 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. Send them through the email, as always. And Geoff will be back and check out the Inside the Birds podcast on all podcasting platforms. There you go, Geoff. There is Monday's mailbag for you.
All right. Thank you, Mike from 97.3 Studio, for that wonderful question, and all the great listeners as well.
Hey, I tried. All right, man. Thanks.
You got it.
There's Geoff Mosher, everybody, from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can check out on all podcasting platforms. Hey, the Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN. All the questions, everybody out there. Brought to you by for game days. Fanatic Sportsbook, big screens, big bets. Game day hits different at Ocean. Go to oceanac.com. Don't forget, check out all the live entertainment. A lot of great shows. Comedian Matt Rife, July 24th and 25th. And on that Matt Rife show, if you stop by with us on Friday, we will be live at the new Jersey Cow, Friday, June 26th from 2 to 6. Stop on out. Great opportunity for you to win some prizes. We'll give you the details on that coming up. Hey, I was thinking about this. Schwarber, the historic weekend he had. Harper, the weekend that he had. Where are those guys in the pantheon of free agent signings? Are they even the best in Phillies history? Just throwing out best free agent signings that you can think of in Philadelphia. Because Schwarber and Harper, you always talk about them, but, like, what about Wheeler? Like, you saw all three of those guys this weekend. We rip on Dave Dombrowski a lot. Now, I know technically Dombrowski was not here when they signed Harper. So think about that. But Kurt brought it up earlier. It made me think about it. He said, we always rip on Dombrowski, but he did sign Schwarber, and that has turned into be maybe one of the best free agent signings of all time. So we'll have some fun with that coming up on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Mosher is always on a football at 4 Monday. Hey, Jersey Cal will be there Friday. Stop by the new Jersey Cal in Margate, 7903 Ventnor Avenue, and enter to win tickets to see Matt Rife at Ocean Casino on July 25th. So we'll have a pair of tickets to give away. Stop out, enter to win. We'll see you at Jersey Cal on Friday in Margate. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. So Schwarber last night hits a homer. He hits 3 on Saturday. Kerr brought it up earlier. Maybe think about, he said, hey, listen, we all like to bang on Dave Dombrowski and the bad moves, but he did sign Schwarber, and he brought him back. So far, that deal has worked out. Now, he did sign a 5-year deal. You know, and I think initially we all wondered, is Schwarber going to be able to hit 58 home runs again? Are you signing him for past success? And so far, Schwarber has showed that not only can he hit 58 again, he might hit more home runs. Then you signed Harper. Harper's another one. That was Matt Klintak, by the way, the GM who signed Harper. What do you make of the pantheon of free agent signings? Wheeler, he's got to be on the list. Harper, Wheeler, Schwarber, those 3 are all free agent signings. Probably 3 of the top 10 in the city of all time. There's no question about it. You have any more that you want to add to my list? Because I have a handful.
So I started jotting down a bunch of names here. You just need a few of them. Obviously, Harper, Wheeler, Schwarber. Those are 3. I got 2 more Phillies specific. I categorize them by team on my paper here.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go big picture Jim Thome, just because he was like the first entry into Citizens Bank Park. Like, we are getting serious about changing the look and the culture of the team, right?
Thome definitely was the first big free agent signing that worked out for you in my lifetime. There's one on my list that's pre my lifetime. Well, I was born, but I don't remember the signing.
Right. So I got Pete Rose.
Pete Rose in 1979. He signs that contract. They win the World Series in 80. He has to be included on any list of Philadelphia free agents because he was signed and delivered a World Series championship.
So I got 2 Sixers free agent signings for you. One is probably the most obvious, Moses Malone. You know, that was the huge deal. That was what got them across the finish line in 83. So
was he traded for?
So it was a sign and trade. So he could have been a free agent. He wanted to go to Philadelphia, but they had to do a sign and trade to acclimate basically him going there.
Okay.
But I can take it off the list if you want me to. I mean, if you feel like it's too much of a nuance, it's fine. But the other Sixer one I have is JJ Redick. Because JJ Redick was the first move of the
post process
that was the first signal of, okay, we're getting serious about trying to win now. We signed JJ Redick. And the Sixers probably don't have some of the success they had without him paired with Embiid and Simmons.
JJ Redick is the Jim Thome, right? He's the move that just signified that this is a place now that free agents will come. So sure, I think you can include him. I don't know if he's one of my 10.
Do you have a Sixers?
Moses, I wouldn't put as a free agent.
Okay.
That was a trade for me.
Gotcha. Now, do you have a Sixer on your list?
No, not necessarily. I don't think that there was one impactful free agent signing that I can think of for the 76ers.
Okay. So now I go to Flyers. There's one Flyer on my list.
Okay.
Danny Briere.
Briere is fringy on my list. I mean, he's one of the guys I've written down. I don't really have them mapped out yet. I just wrote down a bunch of names and then just decided, hey, I'll bring these up.
Most of the Flyers acquisitions were trades. So I can't think of another off the top of my head, another Flyers acquisition that had free agent wise that had such a serious impact, because Briere, he was the scorer that you didn't have for a while. He was somebody who really came in here and changed the dynamics of this team offensively.
So Briere would be one of the guys I think you can certainly throw on the list of to discuss. He got a big contract too, 8 years, $52 million.
He did.
And the Flyers were horrible at that time.
But he was on the team that went to the 2010 Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying when they signed they were horrible when they signed Briere.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jim Thome again.
Yeah. So I don't know, like the impact that he made. Was it earth-shattering? Guys that I put down here: Thome, Wheeler.
I got Eagles on my list too. If I get the Eagles,
Yeah, definitely Eagles. But Thome, Wheeler, Harper, Schwarber, Pete Rose. There's one other interesting one, I think, for the Phillies that you didn't mention.
Who's that?
And that was Cliff Lee.
Yes, when they brought Cliff Lee back.
When they brought him back, they traded for him, then traded him away, then brought him back. So I put Cliff Lee down as well. The Sixers, I don't really have anybody. I did put Briere down, and then the Eagles.
So for the Eagles, the first one I wrote down was Javon Curse.
Okay.
That was a big deal when they acquired him.
Mhm.
He was on the team that went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but they got there. You know. I also got Malcolm Jenkins.
Jenkins, I like. He's on my list.
I also have John Runyon.
Runyon is the Thome. He was kind of the first free agent that you signed, and he was good.
Yes.
You know?
Big impact on the team because at the time they were still rebuilding that offensive line.
Well, yeah, because you remember, I mean, back in the day, they signed, there was a center, a guard, Ron Solt, they signed from the Colts.
Oh, you mean the 90s?
Yeah, but he was like a big free agent signing for them,
Right.
and he failed miserably. In fact, I think he got popped for steroids and never ended up really playing. The Phillies signed Lance Parrish. He never did anything. They signed, I think the Phillies signed Danny Tartable. He fouled a ball off his foot and never played again.
I was so excited about Tarble because I remember him playing for the Royals with a big leg kick, and I'm like, the Phillies got Danny Tarble? I'm like, let's go.
But Runyon was like, okay, they signed this guy Runyon, and he was the real deal. And he really helped that offensive line become really the Runyon deal is the genesis of who they are today. Drafting Trey Thomas and signing Runyon in the Andy Reid era, that has basically carried them. Because when I was growing up, their offensive line was always a sieve. It was awful. Ron Solt failed. You know, you had just bad Bernard Williams, bad draft choices after bad draft choices. They finally got Trey Thomas in the 98 draft. That was the year Randy Moss, I think, was available. They ended up going with Trey Thomas. But they got Trey Thomas, and then they paired him with John Runyon, and it really set up who the Eagles are to this day, a team built behind an offensive line. So I think Runyon, he's the Jim Thome of the Eagles.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, one of the guards was Mayberry, right?
Mayberry, yeah.
In one of those early Andy Reid. My other Eagle I wrote down, Zach Bond.
That's outside the box. I don't think many people would think of that.
Now I remember we all thought he was just going to be a special teams guy.
Yeah, people, I'm sure, probably weren't even sure he would make the team.
And he's going on to be probably one of the most impactful defensive players in the last, 25, 30
years?
You're
missing one major Eagle.
Who's that?
Saquon.
Oh, yep.
So Saquon Barkley has to be considered.
Okay. Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, do you put Nick Foles on there?
No.
He did win a Super Bowl. He was pretty impactful.
Yeah, but was he really a free agent signing or did they trade for him?
I thought they signed him.
They might have signed him.
When he, he had been where, in Kansas City? Or L.A. or somewhere like that?
No, he was in Kansas. Well, no, he was in L.A. He got cut by Jeff Fisher. He was going to retire from football, and then Andy Reid brought him to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. And then I think he was a free agent, and I think the Eagles brought him back.
I'm pulling it up right now. I mean, if he actually was a free agent, then yes, he has to be on the list.
Paul in Northfield says Jeremy Roenick.
I thought Roenick was traded for. I thought he was on the Coyotes.
He was definitely in the Coyotes, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have been a free agent from the Coyotes. But that one, I have to let me look back on that. He signed a 5-year deal with the Flyers. Yes, he was a.
So he was a free agent.
Yeah, I thought he was a free agent.
So okay, that goes on the list.
I don't know that anybody tops the 5 or 6 Phillies. Thome, Wheeler, Harper, Schwarber, Pete Rose, and Lee.
Foles was signed. He was a free agent.
So, those guys, to me, those 6 guys, Saquon, 7, Runyon, 8, Malcolm Jenkins, 9.
Yeah.
Those 9, you only really have, in my mind, Is Phil and Brigantine says, is Dr. J considered a free agent signing?
No, because he was purchased. So the 76ers purchased his contract from the Nets. That was in the ABA documentary I watched recently.
How about Hugh Douglas? He was huge for the Birds when they signed him from the Jets.
And Hugh Douglas was before Javon Curse, and he was kind of like the first big guy acquired in that of the Jeffrey Lurie era, right?
Yeah.
That was the one, the big Joe Banner, one of his first early moves.
Yeah. Now, did they sign Hassan Reddick? Not that he would be on the list over Curse but he did get to a Super Bowl that year. And I'm almost positive they signed him to a free agent deal,
I think they
from
did too.
Carolina. Because I remember I was on the air that day at a sports book in Atlantic City. I don't remember which one, but that was the day they signed him. I could have sworn he was with Carolina because he had been with Arizona. Then he went to Carolina.
March 17th.
And then they signed him in Philadelphia.
Eagles signed him March 17th, 2022.
But you can make it strong that all three of those guys, Hugh for the Andy Reid teams, Curse for the Andy Reid teams, and then Reddick for, this.
It's almost a category I know itself. It's like pass rushers. The Eagles have signed.
Right, exactly. But Tomei, Wheeler, Harper, Lee, Schwarber, Pete Rose, Saquon, Runyon, Malcolm Jenkins, that's 8. You say Foles, that's 9. Then you've got this whole group of other guys who are on the next tier.
Right. I mentioned Zach Bond. We were talking about Hugh Douglas, Danny Briere. I mean, JJ Redick probably doesn't make the list, but I want to throw his name in there anyway.
JJ Redick, not bad. He's the biggest Sixer one of this. And even going back, they never, famously, Charles Barkley said, I asked for Shaq. You got me Charles Shackelford. I think I don't know if it was a trade. Oh, they did sign Rick Mahorn. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but
it was a big deal at the time.
It was a big deal at the time. Yeah, he was the guy.
Because he won championships with the Pistons. He was brought in here to kind of be, Barkley's like.
Yeah. Tiger could have been on this list, but it never worked out.
That's a good one, actually.
All right, there's some fun. But Schwarber's at the top of the list. Wheeler's depends on the day. Some days Schwarber's the best one. Some days Wheeler's the best one. Some day Harper's the best one. Trey Turner on this list? No. My guy Rocco at Key Acura is on the list. You can get a new Acura, but you're running out of time. Now through the end of the month, he will take care of your first lease payment on a 2026 Integra up to $450. He'll pay that for you. Or you want to go bigger? How about a 2026 MDX up to $1,000? Yes, you could be in a new MDX, and he'll pay the first month for you. A complimentary first month lease payment on either vehicle. Key Acura, Tilton Road, EHT. Go to KeyAcuraAtlanticCity.com to check out the inventory. Key Acura, the small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details. When we come back, Nuggets. No Nuggets in the 4 o'clock hour today. We're going big time with the Nuggets at 5 o'clock tonight. That's in 13 minutes. Stick around. More Sports Bash on the way, including we got the Phillies lineup. We'll tell you who's actually pitching this game tonight. 4:52, Nuggets next hour. Got some more text messages coming in. Runyon helped change who the Eagles are. Chuck and Morris says, could not be more huge. When we signed him, no one would come here. He's absolutely right about the Runyon thing. I agree. We talked about that in the last segment. I thought Runyon is the precursor of the Eagles that we now know. Him signing here made their offensive line the strength of the team, which it had never been. That one's in. John from Avalon. What about Troy Vincent? He was signed by the Eagles away from the Dolphins. That got us a good corner in the Andy Reid era. Yeah, Troy Vincent, I think, actually was on my list.
I believe Vincent was signed during the Ray Rhodes years originally. So he actually predates, I believe, even in Rito.
Also talked about Ricky Waters signing away from the Niners. Give us a real running back for the first time in a long time. You know, it's funny that he says Ricky Waters. I went back to the archives today because you mentioned Linda Cohn is retiring. We had Linda Cohn on at the very first Radio Row that we ever went to. I was looking for that interview today. So I found a snippet of the interview. And also, that same year, we had Ricky Waters on at Radio Row. And I happened to find that interview as well. And now, what do you know? Somebody mentions Ricky Waters today on the show.
Oh, Troy Vincent was 1996. So that was the Ray Rhodes.
I mentioned Jeremiah Trotter getting signed from the Redskins.
Oh, yeah, when he came back.
When he came back. He wasn't quite as good, though, when he came back.
Yeah, he wasn't the same, but they needed him nonetheless. Yeah.
My pick right now, Schwarber. That dude. Although, here's something interesting. What will happen to Schwarber and Harper Wheeler if they never end up winning the World Series? Specifically Harper. Like, what will he will become essentially the Charles Barkley of baseball.
Yeah.
Him and Mike Trout, like, if they don't end up winning titles, and there's no way Trout is, if he doesn't leave LA. All right, when we come back, it's the Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw joins me for today's edition of Nick Nuggets. 5 o'clock hour, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Phil's tonight, taking on the Nats. Tim Meza will get the start for the Phils. Alan Rangel will come out of the bullpen, it sounds like, tonight. Hey, don't forget, 5 o'clock hour of the show, Cross County Connection presents 6 new South Jersey Connect shuttles, fare free transportation across southern New Jersey. You can connect to jobs, colleges, healthcare, shopping, government services, and NJ Transit hubs, all at no cost. For details, call 856-229-7571 or visit driveless.com. It's time for the Nuggets today. Nick Earnshaw's back with today's edition of Nick's Nuggets on the Sports Bash. Let's get into them. Nugs, what's up, my brother?
What's going on, Mr. Mike Hill? Nice to talk to you. And we got a lot to talk about because there's some interesting things that I have seen across the socials, some questions being asked.
Here we go.
There's one particular question with Nugget number one that I want to start with, and that is regarding Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. MLB Network was posing a question if Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber would both make it to the Hall of Fame by the end of their careers. Now, this question, was started because of the weekend that both players had. I mean, home runs galore. You saw a cycle, whether it was a triple or not. That's neither here nor there. But guess what? I think this is a great question because I think both guys are going to get in. Schwarber, I think, has the harder case. But if he continues to hit home runs at the clip he's hitting them for 2-3 more years, he can get to that 400 or 500 mark.
All right, so who are we starting with here, Schwarber or Harper?
Both.
I know,
That's the question. Are they both going to get in?
but which guy do you want me to break down first?
Let's go with Bryce. Let's go with Bryce.
Harper. Bryce Harper is unequivocally in. All right? I don't even know that there's a lot more to discuss on him. Rookie of the Year, 1.
Yep.
MVP, twice. All right? He's already at 380 homers. So he's going to be, I would imagine, Bryce Harper probably ends up at about 500, if not more, home runs, right?
I think he'll get over 400. I think he'll get over 400. I don't know if we'll reach 5, but I think he'll get
definitely going to get over 4. He's already there almost.
He needs 30? Was it 31 more home runs?
No, he's 20. He's at 380 homers.
All right, he needs 20 more.
He needs 20 more to get to 400. Right.
Okay.
So that means he would need another. So he could probably hit 20 more, maybe this year. I don't think so, but probably this year into next year. Now, keep in mind, after this year, he still has 5 years left.
He does, but at what production level? I don't know if he gets to 500.
If he hits 20, so let's say, and I didn't say I said he'll get to about 500. So if he hits 20 more this,
all right, that's fair.
If he gets to 20 more this year, that gets him to 4. He needs to average 20 over his last 5 years to get 500.
Is that going to happen, though? Could he retire? How long does he want to play? Does he want to play till he's 40?
Well,
there's a lot of questions there. What level will he be at? Is he going to be elite? Is he going to be elite? That's the question.
He still has 5 more years after this year is what I'm saying. So if he hits, like right now, if he hits 20 more homers this year, and I don't think that's going to happen. He's got 17, 20 more would put him at 37, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. But Bryce Harper, on average, hits 33 homers a season.
Yep.
So that means if he gets to 33 this year, he only is 4 short of 400. And that means over the next 5 years, he only needs to average 20 a year, and he should be able to get there. So I would think he's going to get to, if not 500, very close to 500. So
I think so, too. I think he's going to get very close. I feel like he might just miss it because you got to factor in the age in all this too. And is he going to be elite, etc.?
Well, listen, he doesn't have to be elite to hit 20 homers. I mean, 20 homers isn't elite. That's just good. He only needs to be
also really an issue.
Health is an issue. Health is always an issue with everybody. Yep. But 8 All-Star games. He has multiple MVPs. He's got the home runs are going to be there. I mean, this is a guy who was the number 1 overall pick and has delivered on that. The only thing really that has eluded him is winning the World Series. I think being the number 1, he's like the LeBron James almost, where he was on the Sports Illustrated. Everybody knew who he was at 19 years old. When you enter the league with that kind of pressure and you live up to it, I think that adds to the voting for you. So I think Harper's in.
Yep, I'm totally in agreement. I think Harper's a slam dunk already. You could put him in tomorrow if you had to. That's how good I think he's been throughout his career. He's been a great Philly. He was a great national. I think he gets in easily right now, slam dunk. Schwarber's an interesting case because he has been unbelievable since he came with the Phillies. And the fact that he's only DHing, I think will help him longevity-wise later on in his career. And that, I think, will help him get over the 500 mark. I think you're going to see seasons from him where he's going to continue to hit like 50 a year. I think 500 is going to happen for more so with Schwarber than Harper. And I think the way Schwarber's going, the fact he's not playing the field, et cetera, I think that's going to help his case tremendously to get in. So I think Schwarber's going to get in. And he's been somebody who's been a part of some championship team with the Cubs early on in his career. So I think he's going to have the resume later on that's really going to put him over the top.
Schwarber's a tough one. He's a DH.
Yep.
So is that a strike against you?
I don't think it's a strike against you because he could go in as a DH.
Right, but correct me if I'm wrong. There is no current DH only.
Big Papi.
Okay. All right. So Big Papi is in there as a DH. Okay. So that changes it a little bit. But my other question with him is, yes, if he gets to 500, I would imagine he's in. His batting average, 232. That would be the lowest, I believe, by far of any Hall of Famer.
Yep.
His is more of a second half of his career resurgence here. Does he have enough consistent longevity to say this guy was a definitive? Now, early in his career, he did have a season with 30 homers, 26, 38. If he hits 500, I would think that he would be in there. The batting average and that stuff would be the stuff. Now, MVP, he finished second last year. He's been in the top 20 4 times. Tough one on Schwarber. 3 All-Star games. Does that play into a factor here? He really doesn't have a lot other than that. Now, if you look at his Hall of Fame statistics, batting average, he's way off of what regular Hall of Famers have. When you look at his home runs, he would certainly be there with the 500. He doesn't play defense, so I don't know how you factor that in. Very good guy, good human being. Does that play for you? Absolutely. He was also DFA'd at one point. I mean, that's a crazy story. So if he hits 500 homers, he would be really one of a kind. But I think that if you do it, that means he still has another 5 years of really good play, which means he would have a good 10-year run, and that would probably be enough to say you're in.
Yep, I think so. I think the latter part of his career, if he gets to 500, that is what's going to get him and put him over the edge. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm just saying he gets in at some point. So it might take him a few ballots. It could be a last ballot for all we know by the end of his time. But I think he's going to be able to stick around for a while. I think the bat's going to be there for a good amount of time, especially with him just playing DH and just swinging away and hitting nukes every single night. I mean, if he's going to have 3 home run games every single year, I think this guy might hit 50 for the next 4 years of the duration of that contract extension. So I think if he gets to 500, he will get in. If he doesn't get to 500, I think he would be Hall of Very Good. Now, there has been a lot of controversy over who's gotten in over the course of the past couple of years. And has it turned into the Hall of Very Good? So I think he's got a case. And you also have to remember the era he got in. Like, yes, the batting average is going to be low. We know that. But batting average is kind of taking a step back in this era of baseball. So if you're the writers when he's up for election, I think they're going to take a look at the era as well as to what time period he was playing in. And he was one of the best home run hitters in the league, right behind Aaron Judge.
Hey, listen, if he hits the 500, I think he's definitely in. Even if he's at like 480, you got to start talking about this era of guys and wonder if, the batting average is going to matter for this. Because think about it. You're talking about he's going to play for 5 years, and then he's got to sit out for 5 years.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a while. You got a while. I think they're both going to get in at some point. My prediction would be that Bryce and Schwarber both get in, and I think they both go in as fighting Phils.
Harper definitely, Schwarber definitely. Yeah, I mean, he played his first 6 years with the Cubs. By the time he's done here, he would have played 10 years, so it's not even close.
Yep.
And Harper,
yeah,
same with Harper. He's played more years in Philly than he did in Washington already.
Yep. I think they're both going in as Phils. Like Schwarber would have more of a case of going in as a Cub, but I think he'll go in as a Philly no matter if they win or don't win a World Series.
Yeah, but by the time he's done here, he would have played 10 years in Philadelphia.
I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But could he go with the 2016 World Series? Because he was on that team. That's a story.
Well, he also won a World Series with the Cubs, right, in Boston.
So there you go. But
no
he wasn't
Boston.
there that long.
No Boston.
No, he didn't win in Boston, right? It was just Chicago, right?
Yes.
It was just that one. But he played in Boston. He played with the Nationals, etc. And he wasn't there long enough for either of those teams. So, it's going to be fascinating. I'm very curious to see how it shakes out with their ages and how they finish out their careers. If it's disappointing, if injury gets them, etc. That's all things that factor in here.
Yeah, I think both of them have I would say both of them have a better shot at yes than no.
Yep.
At this stage.
All right. Yep. There you go. All right. From really good, we're talking about Hall of Fame, to really bad. So Bleacher Report put out their 99 worst top picks ever, and it's picks 1 through 3. And it's so funny because you would have thought, Ben Simmons would be on this list. He was not on this list.
Well, first off, why would I think Ben Simmons would be on?
Well, I'm not saying you. I'm saying there would be people out there who would think that. But I mean, he did have a few All-Stars, etc. So there were 2 Sixers on there, and they were Markelle Fultz at 14 and Jahlil Okafor. I believe he was 31 on the list, if I'm not mistaken. So those are the 2 Philly representatives on there. Which was a worse pick? Was it Fultz or was it Okafor?
I'm going to say I mean, Okafor was horrendous, but he actually had one decent season. His rookie year, he wasn't awful.
Yeah.
He was actually a serviceable NBA player. Fultz didn't have one serviceable season here in Philadelphia ever. And you can make an argument that he never really had a serviceable season in the NBA, period. He was the number 1 overall pick. Okafor was 3rd. I don't know if that plays a factor here. I mean, Okafor averaged like 17 or 18 points a game the 1 year. Oh, man. Fultz was pretty terrible. And I was actually listening to a podcast the other day about, Fultz and the pressure that he had being the number 1 pick. Tim Legler was talking about this with Bill Simmons. And he said when he saw Fultz at the rookie symposium, when they all go together, he said Fultz was like head and shoulders just better than everybody else, that it wasn't even funny. Like it was a clear that he was the best player. And then this weird injury happened and no one really knew what it was. And he just, I think, tried to rush himself to play because of the pressure. And then the Sixers didn't do him any favors by playing him when he wasn't really ready. And then he wasn't ready. He stunk. And the pressure of being in this town and being the number 1 overall pick, they trade up for you. And the team had been really, really good. And they had all those assets. So with all of that, you feel bad for Fultz to some extent, but he has to be the worst pick over Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think Fultz is definitely worse than Okafor during that time. It's a shame. They had so many first-round top picks, first overall picks, third pick, etc., and they did not really hit on a majority of them. So I think
they didn't hit on any of those guys. They didn't hit on Noel. They didn't hit on Okafor. They didn't hit on Fultz. Oh, man.
Yep. Yeah, it's a rough scene. So going through that list was pretty funny. Jamarcus Russell across the four major sports was ranked the worst top overall pick on that list. So, yeah, Markelle Fultz up at 14. I mean, there were some doozies after him. They had Leaf on there. They had Couch. I mean, there were so many bad top overall picks on that list. So there you go. Fultz was the highest Philadelphia-related athlete on that list. And it makes sense, man. There was a lot of hype around it. The fact they traded up around getting Markelle Fultz with Boston, etc. I mean, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Hey, listen, he was the pick by almost everybody. This injury, whatever happened to him, no one really can define what this wild injury ended up being. But it obviously derailed his entire career.
Yep, totally did.
I think he was playing in the G League this year.
He was. He spent a little time with the Magic, tried to make a little bit of a comeback. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's a shame because he's a top pick, and you see Boston up there with Jason Tatum. So who knows? They might have Giannis Antetokounmpo too. So, all right, moving along. Final nugget. Now, I saw this via Front Office Sports today, and so with the New York Knicks, you know how much I love that franchise. They are now going on their tours, right? And if you're anybody who wants to get pictures or autographs with athletes,
oh, I saw this.
Yeah, it's gotten a little out of hand. All right,
Yes.
Like it has become just a crazy business getting autographs, pictures with athletes. Guess how much it costs at Fanatics Fest to get an autograph with one other than Jalen Brunson and picture?
It was almost $1,000. It was like $935. It's ridiculous.
$935 to get your picture with Jalen Brunson.
Now, from what I understand, Fanatics sets the price.
Yes.
So, because they have to pay Brunson to be there, so they're paying him to be there, so they're charging what they think they have to recoup to make money off of having him there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what is this? I mean, like back in the day, you could just go up and get an autograph, and now, that's outrageous. Like in those lines, like I could see like you go through the list. The cheapest Knicks player was Landry Shamet. He was like $135 around that range. So like a little bit more expensive, but $1,000. Are you kidding me?
If you think I'm shelling out any money to get my picture taken with Landry Shamet, you got another thing coming, dude.
You're not spending $100? Not even 100?
No,
not 50.
Not 30.
Not even 30 with Shamet?
142 is the number for Shamet. Jose Alvarado, 169. Mitchell Robinson, 169. Bridges, 283. Josh Hart, 283. Cat, 338. Brunson, 935.
It's just, isn't that, it's amazing to me that it costs that much just to get your picture with somebody. That's wild.
Right. Now, again, don't hate the player, hate the game in this situation. The players are not charging the money. This is how much Fanatics is charging. Now, have you ever been to this Fanatics Fest?
I have not. I've wanted to go, though. I have wanted to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm out.
You're out? It looks cool. I mean, Travis Scott, they were doing like a podcast sit-down interview with him, and he just started performing right on stage last year.
Yeah, I think I'm out.
You're out on that?
Travis Scott, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, come on. There you go. See, I'll teach you. Don't worry, Mike. All right. Little 3-pack of nuggets for you today there, Mike Gill.
Yeah. All right. A couple things that we were talking about Schwarber, Harper, Wheeler. Who's the best free agent addition?
Harper or Wheeler?
No, Schwarber, Harper, Wheeler.
Schwarber. I would have to say Harper.
So you go Harper over Schwarber?
I'll go Harper. Yeah, I'll go. God, this is hard. Now I got to think about this.
Right, you got those three. You got those three guys that really, because we were talking about how these different free agents, like Jim Tomei, changed the complexion of the Phillies organization.
that's kind of what Harper did, and that allowed you to go out and get these other guys who wanted to come here. So I think I got to go slight edge to Harper because I don't think those other guys come here if Harper's not here.
Probably not. So then we added like Saquon Barkley and when he signed with Philadelphia, that was like the Harper.
Yes. That put you over the edge. That put you over the top to win a Super Bowl. And with that great offensive line, and you don't win a Super Bowl without running the football that way with Saquon, that's a massive signing. So, yeah, I think if you comparatively look at that, the way Saquon impacted the team, the way Harper impacted the team, guys wanting to play here, et cetera, the impacts they did make on their team, yeah, I'll probably go slight edge to Harper.
Right. And then, we have the Jim Thome category of guys that came here and changed. So you had Thome for the Phillies. You had J.J. Redick for the Sixers. You had John Runyon was the signing that really changed the complexion of the Eagles back for the Andy Reid era. And then probably Danny Briere for the Flyers.
Yeah, Danny Briere, massive signing. Changed the complexion of that core. Definitely changed the complexion of that core.
Because they were the worst. I think Briere signed here the year after they had the worst season in franchise history. And then he signed here and was on that team that ended up going to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2010. And now he's the GM of the team.
Now he's the GM. Now he's building his own squad. There you go, Mike.
So this weekend, though, you got to see everybody. You got to see Wheeler, Harper, and Schwarber all performing at the same weekend against the Metropolitans. That was a heck of a weekend. Now, I mean, holy mackerel! That was some display. Now they'll play the Nationals tonight, and we'll see. You won't see Wheeler in this series though, but you will see Tim Mesa tonight on the mound, and Alan Rangel gets the call up here. So we'll see how that all goes for the Phillies as they take on the Nats. All right, there's the Nuggets today on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, Nugs.
Talk to you, Mike.
All right, back tomorrow here on the Sports on 97.3 ESPN. Hey, let me tell you, I got my friends over at Soccer Fest, and that's happening this week, the 25th through the 27th, noon to 10. Watch across all 3 days, huge outdoor screens. Sign up for the New Jersey Youth Soccer Association. Those sessions are going to be held at Rutgers Camden Field. Shop local at the Made in Camden Village. Check out the International Food Market, South Jersey's award-winning wineries and breweries and live music and more. Be sure to take the Paco to the City Hall Station or take the New Jersey Transit River Line. Register for free tickets in advance at soccerfest26.com. That is Thursday, Friday, Saturday this weekend. Soccerfest 2026. Don't forget, Friday, Sports Bash will be at Jersey Cow in Margate. The New Jersey Cow in Margate. Win tickets to Matt Rife at Ocean Casino Resort. Stop out and enter. Jersey Cow is now open on Ventnor Avenue in Margate across from Down Beach Liquor, serving the best homemade ice cream with the best ingredients and unbelievable flavors. Cones, cups, sundaes, cyclones, gelatis, milkshakes, waffles, pints. They got your sweet tooth covered. They're open every day from 11 to 11 in Northfield, Brigantine, Absecon. And now Margate, homemade happiness in every bite. We'll be there on Friday in Margate, the new Jersey Cow. When we come back, more Sports Bash on the way. We want you to hang out all the way to the end of the show. But coming up next, can the Phillies still kick it into another gear? You'll hear what one MLB analyst and former Philly had to say about that. Coming up next.
thing about the Phillies that they haven't really gotten consistent yet. They said they're racking up W's, they're winning different ways, but still, when you look at some of the numbers, they haven't really gotten to that point where they're the elite team they certainly could be on paper, and that's a positive for them because they can continue to build on what they've been able to do over the last month and a half or so, and get back to that elite level. So that's the upside. There's always that question mark about okay, you could have a great player that just has a rough year, and they need all those guys to be on all cylinders, because there's just a lot of good teams in the National League.
Former Philly ESPN analyst Doug Glanville says, watching the Phillies this weekend, he thinks they still have another gear left to hit. Is he right about that? Have we seen the best of the Phillies yet this year? Of course not. There's no way that they've played their best baseball yet. And that's saying something because of how hot they have been wins-loss-wise. The best part about this is their record has been outstanding. However, they have not played their best baseball yet. By the way, just moments ago, Nationals Park update. Severe weather is approaching the area. As you enter the ballpark, please take cover. The concourse, please refrain from entering the seating areas at this time. They are monitoring the situation and will provide updates throughout the day. It looks like the Phillies game will not be starting on time. We shall see. The game is in Washington tonight. We do know there's a lot of weather in the forecast, but I want to go back to what Glanville said. Keep this in mind. They were 9-19, and now they have roared back to save their season. And not only have they saved their season, everybody, they have put themselves in, right now, I believe, the last I looked was they are tied with St. Louis for the top wild card spot. So they have a wild card spot firmly at the current standings. They're 6.5 game behind the Braves. So this is a team now that if they start playing their best baseball, if they hit another gear, we do a great job, you, me, all of us. We all do a great job finding your flaws. We all love finding the flaws, pointing them out, and trying to dissect them. And that's what we do. We're fans. We love it. That's what makes sports what they are. The losing is a passport for us to try to fix you to help you win. The Phillies aren't losing right now, though. They're winning, and they're winning a lot. They were 9-19. They're 42-35. So I know it's easy for us to dissect, and we know what they're not. We know this isn't an offense that has consistency. We know this isn't a team that has had a lot of success in October baseball. But right now, with all their flaws and deficiencies, how many teams are better than the Phillies? Atlanta, maybe? Let me ask you this question. If Atlanta played you in a 5-game series in a wild card division round, like last year, you had to play the Dodgers. If you had to play Atlanta, are you worried about that? Are you looking at it and say, we can't beat this Atlanta team?
No, I think there's only 2 teams in the National League that legitimately worry me. Now, it doesn't mean other teams can't beat the Phillies. I'm just saying, you asked me who I'm worried about. The Braves are not one of them.
And who are those 2 teams?
The Dodgers and the Brewers.
Okay. Brewers have not had a lot of playoff success. Are we at the point now where we're finally buying into them?
I think the Brewers are going to do their modern day version of a CC Sabathia deal. And I think they're going to land a Scooble or somebody at the deadline that's going to change their fortunes.
You play them in a 5-game series, that's tough. You're facing Mizorowski, Harrison, who's a lefty. So if they got a third guy, even with those 2, right? If they got those 2 and you had a third guy, you're right. They would be very difficult to beat. The Dodgers situation, same deal. You face Yamamoto, Ohtani,
Glasnow, Snell. Pick your poison.
And don't be surprised if they add somebody else. The Dodgers are currently a team that, yes, if you played them, you would certainly feel like you're not going to win that series. But does Atlanta feel it? So really, there's two teams better than you feel like right now. Two.
Right. There's two teams I can explicitly point to and be like, if I had to face them, because I don't feel that way about the Braves. None of the Braves couldn't beat you. I mean, they got Chris Sale, so you probably lose at least one of those games. Braves want to make a trade deadline. That all we know about. They have the prospects.
They could be in on Scooble.
Absolutely. I've heard rumors about that. The only other team, it's not the Braves that, I mean, who is it? Like, who is the other
your
team?
options right now, I mean, if the playoffs were right now, like today, the 6 playoff teams would be the Braves, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Phillies, and the Cubs.
I mean, the Cubs are interesting, but I'm not like afraid of them.
No, I wouldn't say that the Cubs. I mean, they do have a lefty in Imanaga who is, would be
a problem.
Anytime you have to face a lefty, and then they follow that up with Matthew Boyd, another lefty.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
That's
worried.
something.
I would be concerned, but I wouldn't be like afraid. Because the one thing the Cubs are is a team that's a bunch of free swingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cubs to me is definitely a drop off from that. Now, they did sweep you, and they were playing really well at that time. They're not playing really well right now. At that time, they were playing their best. Well, you were playing probably your low point.
The Cubs are a little similar to the Phillies in the fact that they have a lot of guys who are boom or bust hitters.
Yeah, but I think right now the definitive teams are Dodgers, Brewers. They're the two. That's it. So how do I close the gap on those two? Is there anything I can do to close the gap and change anybody's mind? Because I think what Glanville says is accurate. This team still has another gear to get to. They haven't played their best ball at all. And here they are with the record that they have after starting 9-19. Like, what if they would have got off to a 500 start? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Rob Thompson.
You say, well, they weren't 500. Yeah, maybe Rob Thompson was still here, but they didn't get off to 500. They got off to a 9-19 start. They had 19 losses. They had 19 losses before the month of April was over. So Glanville's right. And listening to that bite from Glanville, it did put into perspective a little bit of, look, we always try to find the worst in you. It's easy to do. You stink, not good enough, seen this act before. I'll believe you in October. How can I believe you now? I don't know that I will be able to believe in you. But the one thing I could believe in, and we talked about this during Phillies Fastball earlier, I think the one thing that can help me believe in the Phillies a little bit more, I'm not asking for Mike Trout or Byron Buxton, but what I am kind of looking for is how can I lengthen my lineup? In other words, where Alec Boehm's not hitting fourth, and I don't need Brandon Marsh to hit fourth. Like, I get somebody in here, and I don't know who that player is that can move those guys to places that profile better for them.
Well, let me ask it to you like this, Mike. If the Phillies, and I'm creating a scenario for those who are out there, I'm not trying to project anything, but if the Phillies walk out of the deadline with another left-handed reliever and Joe Adell.
Well, the Angels have basically come out and said they are not trading Joe Adell, Mike Trout, or Reed Detmers. So Steven Ventnor is really having a rough day.
Rough time, yeah.
Reed Detmers is not getting traded, according to the Artie Moreno.
Yeah, but my point is that is Joe Adell the type of player that if the Phillies got him, that type of not the best player, but another tier or two down, is that enough?
I mean, Joe Adell would be better than what you have. And he could hit in a spot in the order that you really need some help. And that would push everybody down a spot. So Adell, I think you can make an argument, could hit in the 4 spot in the order and push everybody. He's kind of doing what I'm asking for.
Right.
I don't know how excited I am about that.
Fair. I'm just trying to gauge for you, Mike, because you just said there's not a lot of options out there. So the options that are out there,
He would be one, although according to the reports I saw this weekend is that Artie Moreno has essentially come out and said they are not looking to trade those three particular players,
Yeah,
Mike Trout, Joe Adell, and Reed Detmers.
Moreno's also not exactly the most trustworthy owner.
Well, he's been steadfast on that over the years. I don't have any reason not to believe him. He's never traded any of these
Trout,
guys.
but he's not been steadfast about other players before.
Well, that was the reporting that Detmers, Adell, and Trout, he did not have any interest in moving. So take that for what it's worth.
So then now you take another name off the market. So now you're looking at.
I have a hard time going okay, let me one quick run through here. You look at the different teams. The Angels are 7 out. They're the furthest out in the American League.
Yes.
In the National League, Colorado's 10.5 and the Giants are 9. Even the Mets are only 6. So as I see it, there's really only 2 teams that can say we're close to putting up the white flag. San Francisco and Colorado. They're the only 2. Now, between now and the deadline, that could change some more. But today, again, if you're trying to get that player here so that you have them longer, I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
And the problem with a team like Colorado is all the players that would be quote unquote tradable. I don't think you really have interest in. Your Hunter Goodman plays a position you already have a guy at. Hunter Goodman with a greatness lineup.
You're not. You're stuck with Real Muto.
Right. So you're not trading for Goodman. He ain't playing, the guy's played catcher and first base and DH all year. You're not just suddenly having him come to Philadelphia like, hey, go play right field, buddy. Good luck.
No. Moniak, 12 homers.
Left-handed.
But you're playing Gabriel Rincones right now.
You are.
So what if Moniak replaced Rincones?
Feels like a half a dozen one or the other.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Really?
Why would I? I mean, if I'm facing right-handed pitching 5 out of 7 days, I'm playing Gabriel Rincones 5 days a week. You're telling me I wouldn't rather have Moniak hitting 12 home runs with a 280 batting average, a 335 on base, a 942 OPS?
I would like to know how many of those home runs at Colorado. I'm going to look it up.
Regardless, take the 12 home runs out of the mix. His 280 batting average is a legitimate batting average in today's world. 280, you might as well be hitting 350. His on-base percentage is 335. And his OPS is 942. Where would a 942 OPS put him on the Phillies currently? I got to imagine, if not in the top 3, he would be the next guy on the list. 942 OPS would be ahead of Bryce Harper, ahead of Brandon Marsh. He would only be behind Schwarber.
Here's the split here. His batting average at Coors Field, 306. On the road, 246.
Okay.
On base is 355 at home, 310 on the road.
It's better than Gabriel Rincones.
His OPS on the road is 771.
771, which would place him currently on the Phillies. 1, 2, 3. He would be what I said, the 4th highest OPS on the Phillies. Schwarber, Harper, Marsh, he would be the next guy. In fact, there's not one other player on the Phillies with an OPS in the 700s. And that's just his road OPS.
That's his road OPS,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could sell me on Moniak as an upgrade over Rincones.
How do you think Moniak would handle that?
Got to imagine going from the worst team in the league, going back to the team that drafted him, kind of almost as a, hey, let me prove to everybody I failed you the first time here. Let me help you. I don't hate that one. Because we have said, you got to almost now find out. We were talking about with McGarry earlier. You almost need a left-handed bat to get Rincones out of the lineup because he can't be up in the middle of a pennant race right now. Interesting thought there. All right, Friday, come out and see us. Jersey Cal, Margate. We'll have tickets to Matt Rife. You want to go see Matt Rife? I got tickets Friday. Stop out and see me. Sports Fest will be on location. Grand opening, Jersey Cal, 7903 Avenue in Margate. It is your Friday. Come over, have a little ice cream, maybe hit one of the Margate hot spots. Looking forward to that as always. What else we got going on? We're going to be at Yuri's for a Phillies day game watch party next Thursday, July the 2nd, as the summer really kicks off. We're getting into 4th of July weekend. Can you believe that? 4th of July weekend. All right, we're going to close out the show. Final thoughts. And I've got a Do You Remember. I used to, summertime Do You Remember. I always enjoyed doing them. We're going to bring them back for the summertime here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. 5:51, get ready to get out of here. What do we got here? Do you remember on this day, Josh? Probably don't. I don't either. 2008, Candace Parker becomes the second player in WNBA history to dunk in a game. She is one of two players in WNBA history to dunk multiple times in their career. You know the other.
You mean like all time?
Yeah, multiple times dunked in a WNBA game.
I would say Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner has dunked 17 times.
I think the first woman that ever dunked was Lisa Leslie.
Well, maybe the WNBA.
WNBA.
You know who the first woman to ever dunk, period, was? Lisa Leslie, by the way, dunked first one in a WNBA game, 2002.
Yeah. I don't know who was before Lisa Leslie.
There's a woman, 1984. She went to WVU. She is the first woman to dunk in a competitive basketball game ever.
That's the real caveat.
Her name is Georgian Wells.
Yes, you know who she is.
I learned it in a class.
If you went to Arizona State, you wouldn't know who she is.
Most likely not, but they taught us that in one of the classes that I took.
Naturally.
She is the first woman to dunk in a game. And what did I just say? Candace Parker.
Yeah,
she's the second player on this day in 2008. I got a couple more.
All right, go.
Do you remember on this day in 2021, the Pistons win the draft lottery? They have the number one pick for the first time since 1970. They would select Bob Lanier. Who did the Pistons select on this day in 2021? That is correct. Tomorrow night is the NBA draft. We're going to do a lot of draft talk on tomorrow's show. Our buddy Jeff Nadeau is going to break down all of the draft prospects. I'll give you one more. 1994, the Rockets, led by Hakeem Olajuwon, they win their first NBA title. They beat the Knicks in Game 7. Olajuwon would average 27 9 rebounds. He becomes the first player outside of the United States to win the Finals MVP. It feels like that's almost every year now.
Yeah. Every year it's Jokic. It's Doncic. SGA's Canadian.
One more, too. By the way, on this day in 1986, the famous, infamous, if you will, hand of God goal was scored in a World Cup game. Yes, Diego Maradona. World Cup tonight. I hear in Philly they might not get that game off. Philly's game looks like that might be delayed. Oh, catch everybody. I hear it's going to get crazy outside a little bit. I'm back tomorrow on the Sports Fast live on 97.3 ESPN. Holy mackerel, what a fun show today. We're doing it again tomorrow, everybody. Talk to you then.